You're listening to Well, I Laughed, Part 2 of Checkmate, Heard and Heated.
Grant walks in here and just like immediately starts
Fuck
breaking
shit
shit.
Sorry, we moved a giant chessboard earlier, so I'm just trying to adjust my
I don't know
screen.
what your problem with the
All right,
chessboard
great.
is. It's the Checkmate theme. That's the first one.
All right. Hi guys.
Hello, my name's Maya. That's Grant. If you don't want to listen to us catch up, you can use the chapter function and skip to Grant's story.
Right, which it'll be a good one
That's
today.
totally fine.
Oh my God, we got fan mail. Thank you. This one,
Yeah.
that's Bill Clinton.
It is Bill Clinton.
Same.
I'm obsessed with it.
Good job, Maya. I can't do a Bill Clinton impersonation, but I
Good
enjoy
job. Yeah.
trying.
I know, I can't either.
Are we reading these on air?
I don't think you have to, but I
Okay.
think we can talk about the card itself, which is funny. Okay, we got from someone else. I can actually say first names. From Cameron and their partner. We got a wedding invite, which we'll deal with later.
Fun.
But
Deal with later is hilarious.
well, I haven't even looked at. I know it's not in Colorado. That's as far as I got. And then this might be the same person that emailed us and was like, "You're invited to our wedding," and then it was like, "Psych,"
Oh, cool.
which is also totally understandable and just as funny. But they sent us a bunch of stickers, and this one is Clippy, like the word Clippy.
Oh my God.
And it says, "Hi, it looks like you're trying to compliment them in a gay way. Would you like some help with that?"
This is going on my fridge. I just want you
Yeah,
to know.
that's fine.
This is so incredible.
This one says, "I don't care what the Bible says," and then inside a book that's open says, "Ancient fanfic shouldn't be your moral compass." It's the fucking Bible.
My parents come to my house, so you can keep that sticker.
That's fine. Daddy's little daddy.
Oh, okay. We'll go ahead and slide that one over. That's for him, and that's for her, and that's for her, and that's for him.
Soup slut.
That's you, and it even looks like you.
I don't know.
You don't know to be complimented or
Yeah.
insulted by it.
Devil diva.
See, I would hate to split them up. Oh, it's a deviled egg. They feel like a pair. You know what I mean?
And I don't want to say that I feel like I relate to both of them, but I do.
I did before I left. This is so embarrassing. Before I flew out for this most recent work trip, I was like, I want to kind of eat something because it's going to be like, I'm going to go to bed early tonight because I had to get up at like 3 a.m. for this flight. So I was like, I want to like kind of eat something for like dinner that's like substantive, but like kind of light. And I just don't know what it is. So I don't know, I'll make like 8 deviled eggs. I did not, for anyone curious, eat all 8 of those deviled eggs. I think because I was going to be gone for a
Those
week.
are rookie numbers. I would have eaten all of them.
I was just so afraid of having like horrific deviled egg farts in
Sorry,
like
were
10
there
hours.
8 eggs that you made into deviled eggs, or 8 deviled eggs?
8 deviled eggs.
So 4 eggs.
Correct.
Girl, I could the way that would have been gone. 8 deviled eggs is like nothing for me. Okay, this one,
A personal one.
yeah, that we can read at some point, but it's quite long.
This is also really sweet.
It's very cute. I'd already read that one.
Yes. And also, like, I'm not going to say your name so that way I can say the other details. And the person's like, "Hey, love the show. Thanks so much. I was a former high school theater teacher and have recently embraced my bisexuality, like less than a year ago. And I just love the idea that you were teaching
I
high
do think
school
that should go on the wall.
theater. Oh, this?
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
I just love the idea that you were teaching high school theater, which had to just be a cave of queers. And,
And we're like,
hadn't realized it yourself.
Oh. And also, did you see that she said she'd had this card for like years and just never
Yes.
knew what to do with it? Cool.
Anyways, how have you been? How's life? What's going on? What's happening?
Yeah.
Are you all packed for your trip?
Girl, it is more than 24 hours from when my flight departs. You should know better than that. Of course, I'm not packed. I did start my laundry, though, so that's a plus.
I want you to know that I asked that question knowing you weren't
what
going
the
to be
fuck?
ready. But also, this is not me being like, ha, 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 I am superior. One time, actually for this most recent work trip, I knew my laundry was done. It was at like 6 p.m. the day before I was going to leave.
Incredible.
Got my suitcase out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brought my laundry basket full of clean laundry upstairs to my bedroom. Changed, went out with my partner and some of our friends. And then at 11 p.m. was like, I have to go home and pack still. And you're my ride.
So I would also like for you to go home.
And he was like, heard. you leave now with the car and go pack, and I will watch this drag performer.
He loves a
then
late night.
He does. He loves a late night. And he's like, so you go, I will watch this drag performer, get in a lift, and then come find you. And in the morning, it was time to go. He goes, what if you drove to the airport and then I drove the car back? And I was like, still a little tired. And he goes, yeah, I'm still a little tired. So I hear you, you know, it was 11:15 p.m. and I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, like counting all, like, do I have enough for everything? You know?
Oh my God.
It was great. I love it.
I've just decided I'm checking a bag this time going to the East Coast because I'm going to the East Coast for like a little over a week, I think. Well, like almost exactly a week. But the East Coast is so stressful to dress for.
Yeah.
I just never know if it's going to be fancy or beachy or fancy beachy.
Especially your kind of family circle out there.
It's just going to be a little too much. And so I'm just going to take one thing off of the stress plate and just have a big suitcase.
Come with options.
Just come with all of the options. I did have to call Casey at the store and I was like, I'm getting travel supplies, like a new travel toothpaste.
Right.
That kind of thing. I know for a fact you don't own any travel soap. So I'm asking you now, do you want me to pick you up something?
Right.
And he was like, I mean, I'm fine as long as I have bar soap. And I'm like, I'm telling you, my family is not like the people that live in the South that are always kind of ready for guests. I'm not going to guarantee that they have any soaps for you to use. Would you like me to pick up something? And he was like, yeah, just like whatever, like the body wash that you normally use is fine. I'm like, that's not an option because whatever. I'll buy you something. Good fucking God, man.
It's like staying at my house. Like if you stay at my house, you're more than welcome. The house is going to be a wonderful temperature. You have your own room.
Shockingly, he doesn't have shampoo.
There is no
crazy.
Shampoo or conditioner.
It doesn't make any sense to my brain. Well, now there has to be because.
If you think that is shampoo that is guest shampoo, you are out of your mind.
No, the one that your partner uses, the one with the really nice hair.
Right, the expensive shampoo. I'm not wasting that on like.
No, but I'm saying that you have shampoo in your house.
I do not have guest shampoo in the house.
I wasn't gonna shower at your house. I live 10 minutes away.
Wow, you're not gonna shower at my house. It's like, what are we even friends?
This is the enchilada bake all over again.
Probably. We can have another enchilada bake incident.
Here's the thing, listener. I'm going to explain this to you because it's pissing me off. Casey and I had a horseback riding lesson today, and by that I mean Casey had a horseback riding lesson, and I just fucked around with whatever horse my trainer decided to put me on today, which was lovely, and it always is. But she uses like these little headset things, so she doesn't have to like yell and like follow the person around the arena all the time. So I wasn't listening to their lesson, which I normally do. And then they're like in the center of the arena having like a little kiki, and I'm like riding by, and my trainer Tia looks at me and she was like, of course it's a lasagna. That's why it's called a bake. And I'm like, bitch, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about. I've been on the other side of the arena for the last 40 minutes. And I'm like, ha 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 ha. And then she's like, how could you think it wasn't a lasagna? And I was like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. And they have this whole conversation, like, blaming me for thinking that an enchilada bake from Costco was actual enchiladas and not made like a lasagna. And it takes me a while to process what the fuck they're even talking about because I was in a completely different headspace. And then I turned to Casey and I'm like, how fucking dare you gaslight Tia and me into thinking you're not the one in the wrong, you bitch. This idiot, I don't know what the fuck he believes now. My theory is that he knew he was wrong and has now processed he was wrong and completely forgot he was ever wrong because he was the one that thought it was enchiladas. I always thought it was a lasagna. I was like, these are mass producers. No one's fucking rolling enchiladas and putting them in a tin pan, babe. Like, this is made like a lasagna just purely from the part of ease. And Casey was like, at one point, he would only take long sections of the enchilada bake, and I took like a half of a long section, and he got mad at me for breaking up an enchilada. And I remember this so vividly because I was like, I don't even know how to talk to you right now. And this happened through 2 separate enchilada bakes. And now this motherfucker is completely forgetting all of these interactions and is now telling Tia that I was the one that I'm fucking mad.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
What? What do you want?
When our listeners roll up to like the Starbucks drive-through window, do you think they pause stories like that or just turn down the volume?
I I am both of those. So that's I accept either answer. If you fast forwarded, that's fine too. I had to get it off of my chest.
Clearly.
I'm so I feel
not
betrayed.
Offended. I'm not offended at all. It's just again so funny.
I feel betrayed by this fucking my loving husband for like I just like how. Sometimes we have different versions of reality, and I don't know how to make the two coincide. So I'm really excited for Grant to live with someone, you know.
I am excited to live with someone. Really excited. Really excited.
You would tease this out on Patreon, but I want to tease this out here and get people to, I don't know, maybe buy a Patreon episode if you don't have a subscription. You found art?
Yeah. Incredibly disturbing art in my house.
I still have not seen pictures of it. He keeps saying disturbing. I don't know what that means.
Remember right before we recorded, you saw a little lightning bolt happen? A little light bulb came on in my head?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I forgot to take a photo. But fortunately, my partner's at the house. So I was like, hey, can you send me a photo?
Oh, so when you got here, oh my God.
And then he was like, can do in a second. I left to get food. And I go, LOL, are you good at McDonald's? And he goes, yes.
I love him.
I love him. He loves food. He has very kindly eaten basically anything I have ever put in front of him. I have cooled it on the amount of dairy I have asked him to eat lately, and that's been good. Dairy's is kind of expensive these days. Everything's expensive these days. We're eating rice and vegetables. But that boy loves McDonald's. Also, one time we ate Taco Bell twice in a 48-hour period of time. Neither of them a traditional meal hour. And so...
No, they never is. If you're having Taco Bell at a traditional meal hour, you are on a road trip. I think that's it.
100%.
I mean, maybe people do that. That's not my lived reality.
So anyways, I will share the whole story because it's like a whole kind of setup, including the photo on Patreon because I want it to come in so you can see the photo. And also, I guess we're teasing out the Patreon episode, but it's a good story. It's graphic. So that's fun. People get upset in it. It'll be good.
Art graphic?
You'll have to tune into Patreon to find out, I think.
I know it was in the bathroom.
It was.
I've been told he was doing something gross in that bathroom. But which
bathroom? I told you that one too.
I think I'm not sure now.
Here's something devastating that happened to me 48 hours ago when we recorded. I left here and on my way home stopped by Wendy's.
Oh, that was a really sad text.
To get a Frosty.
Yeah.
And of course, the stupid little AI voice comes on.
Oh my God.
And it's like, hello, welcome to Wendy's. I am your AI-powered assistant.
That's enough to make me never go to Wendy's again.
Correct. She goes, would you like to try a spicy Diablo chicken sandwich? And I go, no. What can I help you with today? Can I have a chocolate frosty? Hey, sorry, sir. We don't.
Someone's just fucking listening.
That's exactly it. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean you have an AI system to talk to me and a person still needs to? I'm not joking. I had barely finished saying the word chocolate frosty and they were immediately like, sorry we don't have it. Which I was going to get a chocolate frosty and like a junior bacon cheeseburger and go home and watch a little bit of television.
Nice.
Beautiful evening, right? Yeah. And as soon as they didn't have a chocolate frosty, I was like, oh, you don't have like any, you don't even have like a vanilla frosty? Because in my mind, I'm like,
I can do a frosty.
Yeah. And I'm also like, I'm so sure I have cocoa powder at the house that some students love to give teachers cocoa powder mixes at the holidays.
Like make your own chocolate milk or hot chocolate.
But make your own hot chocolate doesn't go well with vodka. So I don't know why that was.
What?
That's what I'm drinking over Christmas break.
I know, but you don't put vodka. You can't put vodka in your hot chocolates.
So anyways, I drive away.
Raspberry vodka in your hot chocolate. Thank me later.
I drive away from Wendy's and I'm like, it's fine. That's like probably a sign from the universe. It's like, it's late and like dairy does upset your stomach and like, you know, you won't be tooting all day tomorrow and whatever. And then I immediately pull into Hamburger Stand.
Fuck yeah, you do.
And I go,
do they have milkshakes?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
They have shakes. They have regular shakes, and then right now they have like an Oreo or a Reese's or a third option.
Butterfingers, like maybe. Literally any closer.
I know, and it's on my way home. I have two kind of hot spots between my house and the recording studio, which is great. And I was like, hey, could I just do like a little Oreo shake, little Oreo chocolate shake?
Just a little...
And they go, we don't have any ice cream right now. And I was like,
I want you to know.
I guess I'll just do a 6-pack of jalapeno poppers and a cheeseburger.
Their jalapeno poppers are
so
dank.
good.
If I was in a little bit of an emotionally unsure state, that's the situation where I cry in the hamburger stand parking lot. Sorry, I don't know if I've told you guys this, but that hamburger stand that he has discovered recently in the last like couple months was a place that I cried in the parking lot in high school, and that.
Not only have you told
Uncomfortable.
it, you have told it to me enough times, and I
Yeah.
love that story so much that when I brought my boyfriend to that hamburger stand for the
This is
first
where
time,
Maya cried.
Because yes, not only is it this is where Maya cried, but he was legitimately excited. Our hamburger stands, you drive through the building,
And not the way you think you do.
right? It's not like a McDonald's. This could be a KFC, CVS.
It's like
Chick-fil-A.
a Carl's Jr. situation, kind of.
I mean,
where
it's-
it's just like it's not meant to be an indoor restaurant.
The best way I could describe it is it's a very long, one-floor, A-frame building,
A-frame.
and halfway through it, there is a cutout for a car, but not all cars. If you have a small dick, insecure amount, penis, large truck.
Then you got to
You
park
can't-
and you got to walk
Right.
up to the stand.
So anyways, he's all like jazzing out about
Yeah.
it as like I'm pulling
So
into the
good.
belly of the beast. And I
Yeah.
go, this is where Maya used to cry in high school. Zzz. It's, yeah, absolutely, here you go. Ding. Tap to pay.
I'll take a corn dog and one chili cheese tot. Chili cheese fries.
We are getting into this really nice, my partner and I, into this really nice unspoken understanding around communal food. And basically, if something's on your plate or something's on my plate, like between the two of us, a certain percentage of it gets to be a little bit of my communal food, right? Like if I got fries and he didn't, or he got fries and I didn't, I get like 2 or 3 without even having to ask, you know? And then the appetizer, you know, we split it in half and then he doesn't want the last bit of it, which is means a lot to me. So then I get that. It all works in a really beautiful kind of
Casey just
overlapping
eats
way.
so fast that I do just have to trust him that when he's like, that last one is yours, I have no idea if he's actually eaten just his share or more than his share or less than his share.
Knowing
so.
Casey's position in the birth order, he's nervous that he's maybe miscounted, and that's definitely yours.
Yeah, I would believe that at the beginning of our relationship.
True.
Yeah,
true,
he's
true,
comfortable
true,
now.
True. Yeah. I forgot there's a lot of really healthy, loving relationships
Yeah,
all
it's
around me that have
upsetting.
been together for a while.
Yeah, whatever. I'm excited for him to reach the jaded portion of the relationship.
Ouch.
I just think it'll be funny for us.
I am going to pivot just a smidge amount.
Yes.
Some of you might have written in and or might have seen this on TikTok. Both are also an option. But I've shared with Maya recently, and then you guys last week, how I've recently started to love Love Island.
Oh,
well, like this morning, yesterday evening or whatever, my boyfriend and I started watching like season 7 of Are You the One? Do you know what Are You the One is?
No.
Okay.
I imagine it's the same kind of shit as every other.
So yes, but actually significantly more psychologically damaging. So
You really need to watch Survivor.
stay with me for a second.
Okay.
Are You the One is 16 singles, 8
Okay.
boys, 8 girls.
Yep.
And your job is to try to figure out what the perfect combination of those 16 people are, those 8 couples, based off of like a psychological test and like relationship experts.
So it's just like one person comes in and tries to pair up the rest of the people, or is it
It's-
all of the people in the group trying to figure out who's the
It's the second one. It's
That's
everyone
that's
everyone in the
so
group
much.
trying to figure out what the exact combination is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because there's 16 people, so there's like 8 options.
So there's like one guy that has semi-emotional like health and regulation, and all the women are like, he's for me. And
But he's
then-
only for one of them,
yeah,
according to an expert.
and then for that bitch, I'm gonna give this psychotic man. Like, am I getting this right?
100%.
Yeah,
And then you get to send them into the every like day or episode or whatever.
Yeah.
You get to send one pairing, and the pairing is voted on. But you send one pairing into the truth booth, and the truth booth will let you know if you have gotten that pairing correct or not. And if you have gotten it correctly, apparently you go off to like the honeymoon suite. I have not seen someone get sent off to the honeymoon
Wait,
suite
so
yet.
someone third party has decided.
Yes, an expert
Okay,
has
so
screened
it's
all
not like these are
people.
just couples coming in and then pretending they don't know each other.
The answers
Okay.
are locked in,
Okay.
and they don't know what it is, and so they have to try to figure it out.
Imagine you get into the truth booth and it's like the one person you fucking hate. And then they're like, off to the honeymoon suite with you. What?
Literally. And then also at the end of the episode, there's I forget what the phrase is, but basically you go up and the host, I think his name's Jeremy, is like, Maya, who do you think your perfect match is? And you're like, I think my perfect match is Tyler. And so then Tyler comes down and you both put your hand on a screen and it like pretends to scan you. It's like an iPad. It's like so funny. And then everyone gets paired up and then everyone sits down and then they'll be like, there are 8 lights. However many lights light up is how many matches you guys have gotten correct, but you don't know what matches are correct.
Do they get a notebook?
And if you don't get any of the matches correct, they take away 1/4 of the prize money. Because you 16 are all collectively vying to split a pot of $1 million.
This is the Squid Games of like romance reality TV.
It's incredible. It feels more like a Hunger Games. If I'm being completely honest, I am like locked in. I'm entranced by it because here's the thing. Listeners who know might have heard what season we are starting on because we're not starting on season 1.
No.
We are starting on the queer season.
Oh God, that's going to be so fucking confusing.
They got 16 bisexual / pansexual people. So in theory, everyone in the house is interested in everyone else in the house. And it's so good. Right now.
There's too many moving pieces. I'll say it right now.
I'm watching them try to pair it up and I'm like, fuck yeah, I don't know.
Because even like being bisexual, there are people I'm still like, no. Like,
I'm only able to watch bits of it because every bit is so action-packed. And
there's so much information.
Like, for instance, and this is a really fun wrinkle, 2 people who were like in love insisted that they get sent into the truth booth.
And they weren't.
And everyone else was like, it's not it. Like, you guys don't have a connection.
Oh, that's like us watching Tyler go dating.
Literally, yes. And they go into the truth booth, and the truth booth says not a match. And the first reaction you see is everyone else watching outside because the truth booth is like this little like tunnel thing, you know. It's all like very much like high school level, like studio set design.
I was picturing like a kissing booth.
It's like Christmas lights hammered to dust like plywood. Like it looks better than that, but you can tell the $1 million was 100% of the budget they had for this show. Yeah. They're renting out this Airbnb kind of situation. And so they show the crowd first who's watching, like not in the truth booth, and they're like, yeah, we knew it. And then the couple inside, then they pan to it, devastated, tears immediately start making out.
I was gonna say, once a couple has decided, then what?
There's elements of like, we're gonna fight this.
So
and then they're like, everyone out there's gonna be so mad because that means those 2 individuals are someone else's, 2 different other people's perfect pairs.
And so the goal is to find all the perfect pairs before the time ends, and then everyone gets the prize money. What happens if you get sent to the honeymoon phase? Do you come back from the honeymoon phase to help the team?
I think I don't know because I haven't seen it happen yet, and those who watch would know.
And how many
Maybe
weeks
you're
is
screaming
it?
at me. I don't know that either. I am trying. There's so much information already going on.
See, I don't like that. I'm
can't get ahead of it, and it's so. Oh my God, it's so funny too because when you go lock in for like what's called the blackout or whatever, where you're going to see the lights, you go in. And we're still early enough in the season that some people are not picking who maybe they've had the best conversation with. Some people are 100% picking the person they find hottest. And then because during the blackout stage, you don't know which couples were.
You don't know who's sitting with each other.
So because you pick who sits with each other, and then they all sit down one at a time. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, now that you've all been coupled up here in this blackout, we'll show you the number of lights for the number of matches you have gotten right.
Yeah, but you don't know who the matches are, but you do know who's sitting together.
Correct. And so you can kind of start tracking. And there's this one couple who's like, we've sat together 3 weeks in a row. And the last 3 weeks, we've gotten like 2 lights every single time. We think one of them is ours because like these other pairings keep changing.
The only way to figure that shit out is to sit with someone different, bitch.
maybe like they're like statistically it has to be us. And I go, I haven't written this out on paper, but that's not statistically how it's
statistically
happening.
that works.
No,
like literally at all.
But anyways, okay, so the couple that's like, you are not it, and they were like, we're gonna fight this. It doesn't matter. We're gonna fight this. The next morning, they were like cuddled up next to each other on one of the couches outside for breakfast, and one of the messy bisexual men was like, y'all need to stop cuddling and need to start talking to other people. And one of them was like, they're my trusted friend, and they're like, that's gonna hurt our chances to find you your perfect match, bitch. Get up out of there. And she goes, friendship doesn't mean anything anymore. And it's
will they do a gay season?
funny.
Can we send Tyler?
You just have to claim to be bisexual/pansexual.
Yeah, but I feel like they should do a gay season. We could definitely get Tyler to go.
Listen, I think yes.
I think it would be interesting to
I'm
see
telling
how
you,
emotionally mature he comes out.
Right now,
or not.
So fascinating. They obviously don't show, but they'd show enough for you to know what's happened. Because it's basically just bisexual, pansexual island that one evening the trans man and 4 femme-identifying people all just went into the room together.
That's what I'm saying. You can't do this with bisexual, pansexual people. There's too many options. Half of them don't give a shit about monogamy.
Right.
Like...
I'm actually...
And also, what if you end up with like 2 mask bitches at the end who are absolutely not interested in each other, or 2 femme bitches, or like...
Well, it's extra funny too because we are now like in episode 3 or 4 in. I don't know how many there are. I should look this up. I'm just like here for the ride, really. And I'm also like trying to finish my episode today, trying to do grad school
How
work.
do you do
and
all of that at once? Because I could not do that.
I will tell you, I had to work upstairs for a long time before I let myself come downstairs and watch what was going on. But it's like there are 2 matches that were made early on that I think maybe have the potential to actually have been the perfect match, but at least one individual in both of those matches was like, I haven't yet eaten enough of the fruit of bisexual island and have like stepped out and like been like da 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 da. And the 2 that didn't step out of their relationship was like, literally never talk to me again. I hate you so much.
Wait, so what happens then?
I don't know. We haven't started watching it, but it's like they might have burned the bridge of a perfect match already. It's such.
Does that mean no one gets the money if they're just like?
It's such good television. I'm so obsessed with it.
I'm so.
This
anxious.
is kind of an infamous season on the internet, as I've come to just like kind of be aware of. People haven't told me the plot, but they've just been like, "Are you the one?" Season, I think it's 7, is the queer episode of like the queer season of all bisexuals and pansexuals, and it is, and so it's like quenching our first thirst for Love Island, which also this is my partner's fault. I was watching Ken Burns' Civil War documentaries before he came around, and now
this has never happened
and now
before.
I'm like, I must see the second episode of movie night. I want to see more of Sincere being Two-Face. Like, this is really important to me. I feel like this was, in a longer version, my enchilada rant.
It was confusing, that's for sure. See,
don't act like you're not intrigued.
I'm intrigued. I like to watch reality television while doing other things, and I don't think that's something I could do for this because I would be mathematically trying to figure out who's who, and then being so annoyed when someone else doesn't understand it or when I'm wrong. That's too much. There's too much going on. Here's the thing. I'm not for heteronormativity. Obviously, that's gross. I love Casey, obviously, but like every time there is a queer like version of a romance reality TV show, so happy that it exists. I don't think I could watch it. There are simply too many fucking options, and it stresses my little rat brain out. Like something about the simplicity of just part A goes with part B, and then like there's a whole group of women that can kiki together and be mad at each other, and a whole group of men, and you get these weird like societies that start to form. And I just don't feel like that happens in queer reality television. Not hating on it, it's just I personally can't process it.
It's funny because I think the show's already a challenge because you have 8 different people you could be paired with, and now you have 15 people you could be paired with, and that I think it's just really funny and interesting, and it's great, and it's like so gay.
Do you think they have a better chance of getting all of the matches right, or a worse
No,
chance?
absolutely worse chance statistically.
Well, statistically worse, but like because of who they are as people, they're like less assholes.
I think a huge part about being cast on the season, and again, I'm pretty early on, so like maybe I'm misspeaking.
I don't trust reality
but,
television casting.
They all seem to be here because none of them have been lucky in love so far. So they're hoping to find $1 million
That's classic in
or
bisexuality.
find love. Said the married bisexual.
Here's the thing. Also, bisexuality is a spectrum. Like, you
Right.
can't deny that shit either. And so to say that I had 15 options is like kind of lying. Because, I mean, some people are more into men versus women. Some people are more into women versus men. Some people are more into like the pansexual, like the non-binary and the trans. And I'm like, I can't handle there's so many
overwhelmed
options.
you are.
I'm so overwhelmed.
The two-sided sword of this show is that it moves so fast that if you turn away, you're like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, see, I can't,
but
no.
also that means you can always just turn back because there's something that's always changing. Like very little seems
You're not selling
permanent. And it's a great watch so far. It's a great watch.
Are you
and
rooting
they're
for
dramatic.
anyone? Yeah, that's a
One.
no.
I'm rooting for one. Hold on. Maybe even 3. I'll tell you this much. There's one I'm actively not rooting for. I'm like, you are actually have the maturity level of a person that cannot handle being in a relationship with others. You cannot handle a projection of like accountability or responsibility or boundaries. Like your emotions whiplash so quickly between how you have read this person's reaction as opposed to like what their actions and words are saying, that you should not be engaged in romantic relationships. And that person was one of the 2 people that stepped out of their relationship to go make out with someone. And that was after that person was like, I know you just won this prize, so you're going to go on a date with the other person that just like won the prize of like the challenge or whatever. But if you make out, I'm going to be so mad at you. And then when she was on her date, the first one went off and made out with somebody else. I know. It's great.
Did you ever
drama.
watch Too Hot to
It's
Handle?
Great drama. No.
All
of the reality TV I have watched, I have essentially watched in the last week.
This TV show, it would enrage me in the same way that Too Hot to Handle enraged me. It came out during COVID.
Where they weren't allowed to like touch or anything or they'd lose money. Right? Yeah, okay. I did
and they
watch part
picked
of it.
intentionally like the hottest and
Least
with
regulated
love,
people.
the dumbest people I have ever met. And some of them some of them add some emotional maturity. Like the show was designed to create emotional maturity within these people, but they're all straight and they're like they had like these temptation things where they would send them into like effectively a honeymoon suite.
Right.
But if anything happened, bitch, they were cameras.
Right.
If anything happened, it would announce it to fucking. There's like this weird egg thing that would announce it all to everyone. So and so and so and so went up to base 3 and lost the group like $50,000 or some shit like that. That's crazy because then the woman would be like, "I'm so sorry," and the man would be like, "I did that.
Yeah.
I'd do it again."
Yeah, 100%.
Like, it's.
Not
whatever.
to be hell grad school, but the way that these shows help capture how people
grow up.
perform gender is fascinating. All right, well, we have both kind of gotten lost in the sauce. Are you ready for tonight's story?
I don't know. That might have been all my emotional energy that I had.
I'm very excited for tonight's episode. When I was explaining tonight's episode to my partner, he was like, this is really cool. I think this is an awesome story. Like, that's super exciting. What does this have to do with Checkmate? And I explained to my partner, I go, see, a couple months ago, I tried to put together an episode about the Girl Scouts.
Holy shit.
And Girl Scout cookies. And I couldn't pull it off. And it kind of upset me a little bit. And he goes, so this episode's about the Girl Scouts cookies somehow? I go, no. This episode is about Maya's Girl Scout cookies.
Shut
Checkmate, bitch. Checkmate.
I've never been more humiliated in my life.
Tell the listeners, especially some of the ones who don't know that inside joke, what just happened? What just transpired?
You weren't. What was the theme for that?
It was a while ago. I do not remember.
It was Liar Liar.
Sure, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
It was Liar Liar.
Incredible.
My cousin sent me an Instagram reel that said Helen Keller was a fraud. And I was so excited about the story opportunity that this was, and was like so amped about it, and then started getting into it, and like almost immediately started research. And like the first source was like, did you see this particular reel on social media? Yeah, that was a lie. There's like literally no basis for it. And so I did some actual Googling to see like, well, maybe that's a lie. No, it turns out Helen Keller was actually pretty solid gal.
An inspiration.
An inspiration to many.
And so you shared that, and it was like, that's so funny. Basically, the same hour you were discovering that Helen Keller isn't a fraud, I was discovering there's nothing wrong with the Girl Scouts. And that they both ended up being episodes that eluded us. And then it became a funny reference point that then we moved on. And so when you said Checkmate, for whatever reason, instantly I was like, oh, I'm doing Helen Keller. Like, that's so fucking funny. I was like, I don't know much about her, but I know for a fact she wasn't a fraud. So that feels pretty good to me. At the end of the day, this is an art form, what we are doing, and that the art needs to mean something to us. And I think
this is really fucked up of you.
But you're going to be really inspired by her. Because here's the thing.
Sure.
Friends, stay with me. Many of you might be thinking like, oh, like kind of boring episode. I really enjoyed the talk about reality television, but like now, like they're talking about a person that I already know. Yeah, you are going to know some of the stuff, but pause.
If you could have been fooled by an online reel that listed fake facts about proving that Helen Keller was a fraud, you need to listen to this with me. God damn it, I'm not listening to this alone.
And also, as is my way oftentimes, the narrative that you understand about Helen Keller actually robs her of her agency.
Yeah.
And what she should be famous for is oftentimes not talked about. It's not taught because Helen Keller was a radical. Like her life's work was deeply radical. And if you only know her up until that moment at the well in the play The Miracle Worker, which is amazing that Maya doesn't, if you know even this one rudimentary fact about Helen Keller, and that's it, then you are actually missing the real woman that existed and what she advocated.
I know so little about Helen Keller.
You know, if you know this one moment that was enshrined in 2 documentaries, a stage play that won a Pulitzer Prize, and a movie that won an Academy Award, and then 25 years later was redone and won more Academy Awards.
I have seen clips from that movie.
Was it part of your reason to gonna nail this bitch? Gonna take her down?
No, I think I had to watch it for a history class in high school.
Glad it stuck. Okay.
This is a lesson in don't trust everything on the internet. Or else Grant might make an episode about all the reasons that you were wrong. This is fucked up.
Also, like, this is a person that we should cover, but this is great cover for
Thanks for taking this away from me. This could have been my ability to redeem myself. I'm glad I'm just a mirror.
You're part of this episode. This is your chance to redeem yourself.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Okay, let's talk. So we're going to start, obviously, with a chapter. It's no longer early life. Early challenges. Okay?
See, I always end with legacy. He always starts with early life.
Let's just jump straight to the personal information section on Wikipedia.
That's all I
figure out if they're gay or not, and then go from there.
On. Yep.
But for real, an author's note, a lot of the information that I got, especially for this section specifically, came from the website of the American Foundation for the Blind. And one of the things that I've noticed about the AFB's website is that their photo captions are a lot more descriptive about what's going on. And it's one of those classic moments in like disability services where an accommodation for one person to access the text actually enhances the experiences of like a lot of people.
That's something I'm very bad at on our website, so I'm sorry. Again, to the blind community. gonna have to leave.
I hadn't meant for this episode to be a personal attack in that way.
Well, you're nailing it. It's okay. Increasingly, maybe the funniest thing that you've done on this show.
Sorry, it's just...
It hurts now, but it'll be funny later.
I'm reading the captions and I'm like, oh, wow, I hadn't even really noticed that. Yeah, I am taking away some things from it, like describing the foreground and background and things. So anyways.
I'm just going to start taking the transcript of when you describe photos
good,
to
okay.
put into that edited caption box.
That works. And there's actually, because I've been really bad at this, there are actual photos for you to pull in this
nice.
story.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I do kind of start to forget about halfway through the episode, as is my way.
I find 3 photos
Yeah,
if you don't give me one.
Okay. Helen Keller was born in a small town called Tecumseh. You Alabamians will let us know. Tecumseh, Alabama, on an estate called Ivy Green. She was born on June 27th, 1880, and her parents were Kate Adams Keller and Colonel Arthur Keller, Colonel being the title that he achieved. Theirs was a house full of words. Arthur Keller, don't know why that's a tongue twister for me.
Arthur Keller.
Arthur Keller was the editor of the local newspaper, the North Alabamian, but silence befell the household in February of 1882 when 19-month-old Helen became extremely ill, and as a result of that illness, lost her ability to hear and see.
Okay.
So born with those abilities.
To hear and see.
And then loses them very early on in her childhood due to an illness.
Okay.
Helen's family, also, by the way, has a complicated legacy. So her...
Yes, that I did know.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay.
I got into the weird shit with her mom.
Oh, well, what do you know about her mom?
Very little, because after I was like, I get that her mom's weird, but I gotta know about
That's crazy
Helen
because
Keller
her mom
herself.
had like some of the loosest links in all of the research
Really?
that I did. Her mom's dad, her grandfather on her mom's side, was a general in the Confederate Army and enslaved Black Americans. Her father, Arthur Keller, was a colonel in the Confederate Army and also enslaved
I don't
Black
think I
Americans.
realized that was the same time frame.
Yep. The estate that she was born on, Ivy Green, was built in like the 1820s.
So it was a plantation?
Yeah. It
Okay.
might have been more of like a satellite plantation.
Okay.
They farmed around 600 acres and did enslave people. And then the Civil War ended the practice of slavery in North Alabama in 1865. And then Helen Keller was born 15 years later.
Okay.
And so she was not born during the time period in which her family enslaved Black people. But many of the Black people her family employed were either former enslaved people that they enslaved or the descendants of people they had enslaved.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and
then
she's still privileged from...
super privileged. She writes a little bit about playing with the child of the house cook, who just from the writing is like clearly Black and also like the socioeconomics at the time. And Helen writes about how she always got her way and she wasn't afraid to like boss people around until she got her way. And that is true about Helen Keller's life as a child. She was known as like an absolute effing monster as a child.
See, I knew there was something.
It's because the world didn't make sense to her, but yeah, that's okay.
Sorry. I'm not trying to shit on Helen Keller.
No.
I just need to have something to hang on
I'm just
to.
watching you find your corner, which is really interesting.
I don't want to be right, you guys. I never wanted to be right.
I want you to know you're not. I have nearly 3,000 words to reassure you that you're not.
But her as a kid,
absolute terror.
absolute asshole.
And also, like, you can definitely tell in this, like, writing of Helen Keller and writing about her childhood isn't quite picking up on the immense, like, racial, gendered, social power
she
would
a
have
kid.
had over the child of their family's Black cook.
So she didn't understand why she was always getting her way.
Right.
Yeah.
She, I think, actually frames it as like, that's my classic demeanor of like, I'm going to be an advocate and get what I want. I think Helen viewed it as a feather in her cap, not like a statement towards racial power structures.
Yeah, and socioeconomic.
Correct.
Yeah, history.
We're going to get to her legacy around racial segregation later in the episode. So if you know a lot about Helen and you're screaming at me right now, like hang out for a second. But like that's where we're at this point and everything. Okay.
So much I don't know.
Same. Actually, I really got into this.
Good.
I looked at my partner and I was like, yeah, I got to finish up the episode. But like, I don't think it's going to take me more than 45 minutes. It took me 4.5 hours to finish it up.
Yeah,
I chased
there
some
was
stuff.
a lot of information about her out there.
Yeah, she wrote a lot.
Yeah. For some reason, I don't know, history was really invested in detailing her life.
I'm going to say this now because I'm afraid I'm going to actually forget to mention it later because I don't know if I remember to drop it into the notes or not. Helen does write deep into her adulthood that she is now aware of the immense privilege her race and the wealth class that she was born into gave her.
Yes.
She essentially writes that like, my life is not achievable by most people who end up in my position. And I'm aware of that like privilege, and that informed a lot of her work then afterwards. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Learning was really tough for Helen. Because of her deafness and her blindness, no one could get through to her, and she could not communicate with others. And so essentially Helen has no living memory ever of sound or of sight, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so while she's like able to understand, like eat food, like run around, drink water, things like that, maybe like play with toys, like the world is completely inaccessible to her. Her brain doesn't even understand or form the concept of language because it's not accessible to her.
She never learned.
She doesn't. I mean, she was 18 months or 19 months when she lost access to it all.
Was she also mute?
Because she had not ever heard voices, she didn't know how to speak.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't that she had an inability to speak, it was that she didn't know how.
Right,
okay.
exactly.
Okay.
So she was not born deaf, blind, and mute. She was, she became deaf and blind, and then that robbed her at that time of developing her ability to speak.
Right.
And so, like you can't necessarily blame her for like kind of being this terror. Because there's almost no way to like instruct her on like right or wrong other than through like physical consequences you might like bestow upon like an animal you're trying to train. And that's not good for a little girl, or any human being. Eventually, Helen Keller's mom convinces her father to take her to a specialist up in Maryland. And he's like, there is nothing I can do for you. However, Alexander Graham Bell is doing some crazy stuff for the deaf especially. You should reach out to him because Alexander Graham Bell's wife was deaf. And so he was pouring a lot of resources and helping make the world more accessible for deaf people. So they wrote to him and they were like, hey, here's our daughter. Here's what's going on. What's the situation? And Alexander Graham Bell is like, you should come up to the Perkins School for the Blind in Boston.
Why do I feel like I know that name?
Perkins was like a super famous millionaire rich guy.
Okay. I feel like I know about that school.
But before they could come up, the Perkins School was going to send someone down to Helen at first to kind of like do an assessment. They get word of the Perkins School because this national magazine covers this woman named Laura Ingham or Birdingham. Laura, B-I-R-D-G. Bergman.
Bergman.
Let's say Bergman. Laura Bergman had suffered largely the same concept. Bergman.
Yeah, because bridge.
Bergman.
Yeah, Bergman.
But the I is definitely before the R. Laura Bergman.
Yeah, Bergman.
Cool.
Yeah.
Laura Bergman also fell blind and deaf at a very early age and was getting this education now at the Perkins School, and that made her this like national novel story that got covered in magazines that had helped spread the message of the Perkins School originally. Interesting thing though about Laura as a child, not a little monster. Laura had learned how to set the table and how to sew.
After she became deaf and blind?
Correct.
At what age did she become deaf and blind?
Like under the age of 2.
Okay, so still...
Like no life skills, no functioning memory, learned how to sew and was like sewing and like setting tables and things like that.
Oh, yeah, that's nuts.
Laura Bergman will be the first person to receive any kind of substantial education in English for the deaf and blind.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is like 1860s.
Yeah.
And so Alexander Graham Bell, he's like Perkins Institute. Perkins Institute is like, before you come up, we are going to send one of our star pupils down to you in Alabama to like help you try to get started. She's going to assess her, see if you're a good fit. Like that's a big journey, things like that. Like to go from your home in Alabama to the Perkins School in Boston could be a really big jump for such a young person.
Transition.
So they send a new governess and teacher by the name of Anne Sullivan.
Yeah.
When Anne Sullivan enters Helen's life in 1887, at the age of 7 years old, she will revolutionize Helen's life. In later writings, Helen describes the day Anne Sullivan arrived at the Keller home as her soul's birthday.
Oh, okay.
Really sweet.
Very sweet.
Anne Sullivan, Helen Keller's teacher, who would help her become famous, was born in 1866. So she was only 14 years older than Helen herself. So Helen's 7 when they first meet. Anne is 21.
Okay.
21, maybe 22.
Yeah.
Her family had very little money and could not take care of her. And so when she was 10 years old, they just sent her to a home for poor people.
Oh my God.
But at that point, she had very poor vision. Like she could see, but she had poor vision. And she could speak and hear. So she got sent to the school for the deaf and blind as well. And that's where she first got this initial training. Anne Sullivan would spend a month working with Helen, trying to teach her all of the things that a young woman needs to know before they finally had their famous breakthrough at the well.
Right.
What is happening is Anne is pumping water out of the well.
Okay,
and
I
it's
have seen
pouring
this scene.
onto Helen's hand.
Right.
And then for listeners at home, if you don't know, as the water is pouring onto Helen's hand, Anne is with her other free hand signing into Helen's free hand the sign word for water. And it's in that moment, Helen writes about it later, it's in that moment her brain understood the concept of language. That this thing
so not, and she's 7.
She's 7, but and also like some people think like that's way too late to start developing language and things like that.
Just imagine like living for that long without even understanding that there was an ability to talk.
Helen writes that it had not occurred to her that there was individual words for individual objects.
Yeah.
Like it had
Why
not
would it?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that part of the story, there's a lot of things that she does that are really like inspiring. This part of the story specifically gives me goosebumps because it's like that one moment gave Helen a way to categorize the world in a way that her brain was not able to come up with on its own.
Right.
That one moment where she was like, the thing on my hand is the sign in my palm. And I know that's the thing that's happening because the sign that Anne Sullivan is making in my palm right now is different than the sign she has made for other things.
Right.
That this specific thing is connected to this specific thing.
Right.
It's said in that first day, Helen Keller had Anne Sullivan teach her 30 different words.
Oh.
I know.
She like wanted to learn.
She was always so ravenous for learning. She was a lifelong learner, truly to the nth degree. I'm not going to lie. There's a whole bunch of this world that I did not understand at first, and it took me time to understand it. For instance, she learned 4 or 5 different languages, including like German, Latin, English, French. And I didn't understand that until I eventually realized that each language has its own braille.
Which is so fucked up.
Yeah, braille is not a universal language.
Neither is sign language.
Right. I didn't realize that.
If sign language was universal, the way I would be so much more invested in learning it.
I mean, still good to know.
Well, no,
but
yeah, still good to know. But like, what do you mean I can't take this anywhere?
Somewhere else with us.
Doesn't make sense.
No, I 100% hear what you're saying. It's just I hadn't realized that at first. So she becomes such a love of learner, and she becomes a great, really, really witty writer in a way that's like actually really inspiring because she's deaf, she never hears cadence of a sentence.
Right. Yeah.
And so the way that she is able to understand that.
Yeah.
Because I will read some of her writing here later on.
Yeah.
There's a couple different sections. For her to understand the cadence of like a joke or things like that without ever actually hearing how it delivers and not like registering in your body, like that's immense learning, you know?
Because she had to learn it herself. There was no like mechanism or teacher like breaking it down or there was no help.
Right,
really.
exactly. And then as soon as she could read, like she immediately jumped in. Because for her, she felt like there was so much information that she needed to know that she went from being completely shut out from the world to like consuming as much information as possible. She, I don't want to get on myself here. I'm just like now just like chatting with you. Great. So she would learn how to start to sign. She would learn how to read Braille. And then she would also learn how to write her own letters on a sheet of paper. So she would use a ruler, and that would help her find like the space on the page. And then she would use the ruler to help outline some of the numbers. But this is a photo of someone Helen Keller's own writing. It's from when she's obviously a child, but you can see
that's what Casey's handwriting looks like today.
It's very much what my handwriting looks like. It does not have like the elegant like swerve that you'd expect at the time, but that's very legible.
No, yeah. I mean, I can read every single word. I mean, they're all just like random words, but that's so cool.
It's the homework assignment of a 9-year-old, right? It's like cat, cold, catch, load, cool, doll, hat, goodbye, bad, haul, call, doll, right? But like the idea of having, and like not only to write it, but to understand how to space it out and then to create the next letter, just needing to know the geography of the space that you're working with, because you cannot see what you wrote before to not write over it. Like you look at this sheet of paper and not a single one of those letters is written over a different
another
letter,
one. Like sometimes the spacing is like uneven, but no, they're all all there. Yeah.
And I just think that's incredible.
That's fascinating, yeah.
In 1888, when Helen is 8 years old, Helen and Anne Sullivan travel from Alabama to Boston so Helen could attend the Perkins School for the Blind.
And she's how old, sorry?
8 years old.
Okay.
Anne Sullivan is like 22 at the time.
Right.
What makes this story extra interesting is that Anne's this 8-year-old girl. Helen's this 22-year-old. They're both partially vision impaired, and they're about to go from Alabama all the way up to Boston. And it's not like they're getting the direct flight, right? Like
they have to like
trains and stagecoaches, and I'm sure there's like handlers or helpers, just not only because of their blindness or partial vision, but also because they're women and it's 1888, you know? But that's a huge journey to take as a young girl. She becomes kind of a very quick like celebrity up in Boston. Alexander Graham Bell is obsessed with her, and she will vacation at his summer and like seaside cottage in Cape Cod.
So
Here is a photo of Helen and Anne that year in Cape Cod at Alexander Graham's place.
It's peak like... I love the like governess like neckline and the
Please appreciate
dresses.
how intense that chair is.
It's an intense fucking chair.
If I owned a chair as elegant as that today, I'd be like, what do you do putting that on the grass? How dare you put...
It's like a beautiful steel garden chair, but it has all the like intricate backing and stuff.
I assumed it was like a wooden wicker, but no, I think you're right. I think it might be steel. Yeah. And then she's 13. She moves to New York City to attend day school before she finally goes off to Radcliffe College in 1899.
Okay.
1899 puts her at 21 years old.
Yeah.
Also important to note about Radcliffe College is one of the 7 sister colleges because the Ivy Leagues didn't allow women in. And so she gets accepted into Harvard. Radcliffe
basically
is the Harvard sister school. Yeah. And in fact, towards the end of her life, Harvard, now integrating with women, will give her an honorary degree. And she's the first woman.
Thanks, Harvard.
I know, right? And she's the first woman to receive an honorary degree from Harvard.
Oh my God.
Very full circle. But at the time, like, you know, not so much. She devours books. She learns how to play chess. She even learns how to ride a horse, which, like, oh my God, how?
You know? It's pretty easy, actually.
And when I say how, right, I'm sure like there's a way to teach it. I just mean like the faith that would take. But also,
it's
like,
part of it.
I guess you just have to understand that like you're just fearless. You just have to assume.
I'm reading this book right now about, it's called Sacred Spaces, and it's talking about like the psychology of like horse training and horse riding. And there's a lot of science backing up things like horse therapy, where it's not like, yes, you need to come into it with the right mindset and the right like vibes basically that you're putting out, but half of it is like co-regulation because like your heartbeat does emit like an electromagnetic signal, and the horse's heartbeat also takes out an electromagnetic signal, and horses have been shown to like be able to detect those kinds of things and reflect that back at you.
Sure.
And so like being just simply around horses, it's less about like thinking and more about just being.
And also part of me is like, I realize in addition, like my initial like aghast is
Yeah.
like a little ableist, right?
Yeah.
Like if I assume she can't do it because she is deaf and blind, then that will prevent anyone who's deaf and blind from that
From trying to,
opportunity.
yeah.
And it's not necessarily
No, yeah.
my job to be responsible for like deciding for them if it's safe or not.
Yeah.
I just think that showcases like an immense amount of bravery,
It's like me
to-
scuba diving.
which you would never do.
God forbid. It's because of the depression. So
That's
really,
your-
you are being ableist.
That's your prison sentence. I want you to know. Your prison sentence would be like someone would be like, Maya, 10 years maximum security prison, or literally just 1 month of cave diving.
Yeah, I might choose prison. Prison has classes and food and outside time.
If you halved my jail sentence, but I had to spend the entire time free base camping like our friend Tyler does for fun, I am
Ooh.
picking prison.
Yeah.
I do not. He looked at me and he goes, "We got to bathe in the river," and I went, "Sounds awful. That sounds
so cold.
awful."
So cold.
Do you know what sounds nice to me? Staying at the local Holiday Inn, going to a place that
Day
has
hikes, y'all. Day hikes are a thing. You don't need it. Don't let these people fucking fool you that you gotta hike in camp and hike out. You don't. You don't. Okay.
We've gotten away from
Yeah,
Helen
we
Keller.
have. We really have.
Okay, so in addition to Alexander Graham Bell, her education, her going off to college, right, like does start to garner more and more national press, that she becomes very, very close friends with Mark Twain, who
Whoa.
admitted at times he has a hard time keeping up with Helen's dry wit and sense of humor. And then also she becomes really close friends with Lawrence Hutton, who was the head editor of Harper's Magazine, which was like Harper's Bazaar was like a
Yeah.
huge thing.
Yeah.
And his magazine will largely single-handedly fund Helen's college education
Oh my God.
to ensure that she has the access to those kind of things.
What is she like? I don't know if majoring was
Yeah,
necessarily.
I think
a
she
thing
got a
back then.
Bachelor of Arts in like liberal arts,
Okay.
something like that. She certainly read a shit ton.
Yeah.
She writes fondly about her college career. She said, you know, I obviously didn't socialize as much as
Yeah.
others, but like the challenges of getting a degree filled me with enough joy that like I had a good time.
Wild that a college would at that time would be willing to accommodate her.
Yeah.
And like get books in Braille for all
So
of that.
and that's the thing. A
Yeah.
lot of them weren't in Braille. So
Okay.
Anne Sullivan basically became her
Oh.
lifelong companion, and Anne would sit next to her at night and read the book and sign it into a Helen Keller's palm.
Please tell me
as
she
read
also
it.
got an honorary degree.
I don't know. I didn't do that much
woman,
research
it
into
feels
it.
like that woman also got that degree. It's like the service dog that attended all the classes and still got a
Yes,
diploma,
exactly.
you know? And like, I'm not trying to dehumanize Anne, but like, she was there, you
So
know?
here's what's so interesting and funny. I recognize that I might be robbing Anne of her own story and agency, having not done enough research. But Anne was beloved by Helen.
Yeah.
But Anne's own academic accomplishments do not come up a lot in the writing.
Really?
One thing I did find in the writing quite a bit was that at times Anne did not love translating for Helen because Helen was significantly more liberal than Anne.
And I was like, God damn it, I don't want to
Yeah.
tell you this.
Helen thinks healthcare is a human right.
Oh, I fucking love that shit.
So while,
It's every boomer parent
Yeah,
with
no,
their
literally.
liberal millennial kid.
so while I'm sure Anne took stuff
Yeah.
away from the classes that she
was
attended
probably
and the books that she
different.
read, like Helen was the person creating the work, things like
Right.
that. And like at one point, Helen Keller was accused of plagiarism because someone was like, "How could a person who's never seen or heard nature write about it in such deep like sense?" And Helen's
Okay,
like,
how about you fuck off?
Right. I mean, that was kind of the
Yeah.
response. Helen was like, when you're a child who can't speak or read or write or
Yeah, you
understand anything, you
Do
get
actually spend a lot of time with other things.
yeah, and then you spend a lot of time listening to the world, trying to have it make sense to you and trying to understand where you are.
Feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
feel things like that. She does talk a lot about how when she'd give a speech, she'd know if a line hit because her feet could feel the vibrations of people clapping
so
and things
cool.
like
Yeah.
that. Here's a photo of Helen, Anne, Lawrence, and Mark Twain.
Oh my God, what a fucking cool photo.
That's Anne
and you can
signing
see
directly
Anne
into
signing
Helen.
into
Yeah.
her. And she's like, I fucking hate all the things that this guy are
You
writing.
know they talk shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know they talk shit to each other.
I am desperate to, like, you know, the woman that takes like celebrity videos and does the lip reading
Yeah.
because she's deaf or like has experience doing that. I want
Would
someone
love something
to
like that.
do this of like, what the fuck are these bitches talking about? Because like even in Japanese, my mom talks shit about me in front of my damn face. You know, like we need so little barrier to like feeling anonymity before we start talking shit about everybody else. You know,
I was only really able to have like a brief moment of that once at my old school when I was at like peak Spanish immersion for myself. And it wasn't like shit talking, but it was definitely like a side eye acknowledgement of something that we were seeing like at a tournament.
Right.
And that was great. So Helen Keller enters college in 1899 when she's 19 years old.
Right.
She graduates in 1904, cum laude, from Radcliffe. In 1903, Helen publishes her first book, The Story of My Life. She's 23 at the time of the publication.
We got to get to publishing books.
I know. If it makes you feel better, Helen Keller took a pretty big break in her 30s.
Okay, so maybe during that time is when we start
doing
writing books.
Okay, chapter 2, the making of a celebrity.
Oh, I love it.
Helen would have a lifelong companion in Anne Sullivan, who, a year after Helen graduated, married her husband, John Macy, which means in some of the news clippings you'll read Helen Keller and Mrs. John Macy, and it infuriates me.
I hate that shit so much.
That's what they were calling Anne Sullivan.
I can't be doing this. We got to stop referring to wives as Mrs. full name of the husband.
Correct.
That's so demeaning. Are you kidding?
Of Casey, why would that be your opinion?
It's nice when I'm on his tab at a bar because no one looks at me weird. They're like, this could be Casey.
You have something in common with my partner. Oh, I see. Like you could be Casey.
I could be a Casey. Yeah, I don't have to lie.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay.
No, I am a sugar baby a little bit right now.
So Anne Sullivan marries John Macy in 1905. Anne and John would then work as supporters of Helen's overall work because they basically graduate and then move to a farm, like a farm kind of, I don't know if it's like a huge working commercial farm or if it's like enough to support
family
them.
farm or something, yeah.
In upstate New York, I did not do a pin of the location, but considering how much Helen was engaging with the world, they're not in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
I think they are a stone's throw away from New York City.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. New York City's got to be so overwhelming.
Yeah.
There's just got to be so much like vibration and.
Well, here's the thing: if you can't hear or see anything, you know,
can still feel people bumping up against you and like cars rumbling past and stuff. That just feels like a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
especially coming from like a quiet farm in Bama.
She eventually moves to the city, so
That's
I don't
wild.
know.
Yeah, I mean,
it's an excellent point though.
Yeah.
Helen becomes a working professional, determined to communicate as conveniently as possible with others. Helen learned how to speak. She would put her hands on like your face and jawline, and then she would feel
the
your
vibrations
of your throat, and she would use that to figure out how to speak. I'm going to play a clip of her later on. You can definitely tell that like she doesn't have the ability to like modulate her voice the way others do.
Like a lot of deaf people.
Yeah, she's missing certain key inputters that would help refine it a little bit. But like there are words.
Yeah.
There are words that she is pronouncing correctly, which is crazy because she can't even hear herself.
Yeah, she would never have heard it actually pronounced.
She is having to focus on the shape her mouth is making, what her tongue's doing, what her like jaw's doing.
What her vocal cord feels like.
Where that air is coming from. Like she has to just focus on the mechanics, and then as she's learning this, get feedback from the people who are listening to her. So she learns how to speak to a certain degree. She also, I have the exact word for it written down. She learns Tadoma, Tadoma, which is the method of putting your hand on someone's lips and on their jawline.
Like hearing.
And that is how she largely interacted with people that did not know sign language. If Anne or Polly, who you'll meet in a little bit, weren't around and you were trying to talk to her, she would just touch your face and understand what you were trying to say to her. And then she would respond.
This is a completely hypothetical situation. Imagine being an underpaid worker at a hotel or something. Helen Keller's trying to check in and you don't do sign. Sorry. I'm just imagining some random woman who, like, you're trying to communicate with. You have no idea why this person can't communicate back with you. And that person just goes, here.
I don't know if she's walking into a room.
I don't either,
where
but I think
don't know who she is.
But I think the concept of that idea has the elements of comedy.
I think it's very similar to in our friend group, the thing you're saying, in our friend group where we will just go over and start poking on someone's phone or doing something to someone as a test to see how far they trust us before they go, what are you doing?
That trust goes way too far in most of our friend groups. Not far at all. See Grant undoubtedly accuse me of breaking it and entering into his house at some
I
point
have
later.
a lot of good evidence to suggest why you would do that.
I literally, the time frame that you think I did what I did, I don't know what reality you think I was living in.
I have ring camera evidence this time.
Of me walking into your house.
We're going to talk about it on Patreon.
Of me?
I have ring evidence I would like to bring up.
Of me?
I'm not saying more than that.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, anyways.
I'm anxious about this whole thing. I don't like any of this. I'm being called out for being ableist because I fell for... No, I'm not being called out for being ableist. I'm not ableist at heart. I'm being called out for being a dumbass who fell for the algorithm. Also being accused of major crimes.
I thought we've moved past at least one of these parts already.
Neither.
Okay, so this part of Helen's life is largely what people understand when it comes to Helen's legacy.
Right.
She becomes a nationally recognized person in the sense that like people are writing stories about her, right? They're capturing early on. Many people stop when it comes to Helen Keller's life at her graduation. She is the first deaf and blind woman to receive a college degree and like the English-speaking woman. Yeah, and everyone's like, what an incredible inspiration. Oh my God, she did so much.
Yeah.
Out, like end of the story. And she writes a handful of books during this time that like feeds into it. Over the next 10 years, Helen will publish 5 books in addition to My Life So Far, which was not the story of my life. Sorry. So in addition to the story of my life, she will also write the book My Key of Life, Optimism, 1904, The World I Live In, 1908, The Miracle of Life, 1909, The Song of the Stone Wall, 1910, and Out of the Dark in 1913.
So are all of these like autobiographies or are some of them like studies and other things and nonfiction, fiction?
The Song of the Stone Wall is poetry written by her. 2 of them are just like kind of direct biographies a little bit. Yeah. Then a lot of them are framing of her life's experience in like essay form, and then several of them include calls to action for like ways you can improve things for the blind community.
Okay, cool.
These works are largely what make up Helen's legacy for modern audiences. An inspiration, a guide to living and appreciating life and all that we have, a testament to human strength, a brave woman who overcame unimaginable obstacles at a time when most people with disabilities were kept at home.
Right.
And at a time when even the healthiest, best educated, most physically abled woman were still viewed as fragile and in the need of protection, Helen was a trailblazer.
Right.
And to be sure, Helen was all of those things. And remembering that aspect of her life is an important part of her legacy. But that also silences Helen from the controversial work that she clearly wanted to be part of her legacy as well. Further, it denies her agency as a person who lived a full life. So those are the parts that we know. And the thing is about like the making of a celebrity and this next chapter work that defines us is to a certain degree, the timelines overlap a little bit because the stuff that we should know about her that we don't, it starts to emerge during this period. It's not like Helen has this success and then has a moment where like it all crumbles around her and then she like takes this like crazy left or right turn or whatever. These radical ideas that she will become famously an advocate for during her time are emerging during this initial period of like celebrity on the scene.
Okay.
So while she's out there speaking about the importance of educating yourself, about finding value in becoming smarter, in understanding that like the only way out of darkness is like through perseverance and like lightness, and you know, it's very much a little bit like, as we would understand it today, like kind of mega church, you know, kind of see your way through, but also like education is super vital and you should try to like enrich yourself, and also like betterment is good for everybody and like you can do it and we are going to do it together.
It's just like so much positivity with like no direction?
I mean,
Like a lot of buzzwords.
Yeah, I mean, I think the really fortunate thing is today we live in a society that would view that as buzzwords. But I think at the
that time it was still new and like
yeah, because she is speaking to people with disabilities. She is speaking to women in the audiences. She is speaking to a lot of people who were born significantly poorer than her, and she's talking about these tenets that have made her a successful person, which is education. And her story is kind of like, if I can get an education, like you have the ability, maybe not to go to Radcliffe, but you have an ability to learn.
Yes.
Like no one is so low they can't learn. Right. And that's really inspiring in a country that has like a deep literacy crisis at the time.
Truly.
And like is suffering the effects of like most people being working class impoverished people. Right. And a lot of them being immigrants who like are maybe only partially speaking English, but certainly not reading and writing in it. Right. Like in this way, these stories are really, really powerful.
Right.
And today, fortunately, we would view a lot of that as like, kind of
everybody
like
says that.
Nice hot air.
Yeah.
You know, kind of what I mean? Like for sure I agree, because who would disagree? You know?
Yes. Back then they were like, what do you mean?
This is revolutionary. And so that's important work. And Helen was obviously an incredible deliverer of that message. Like, how can you not feel inspired and called upon when it comes to like a message like that, you know? But that is not the work that Helen would want to define her career, and is largely not the work that she will do then the rest of her life. And that work starts super early, like in 1909 when she's only 29 years old. So, chapter 3, work that defines us. In 1909, before her 30th birthday, Helen and John Macy, Anne's husband, both formally joined the Socialist Party.
Wow.
Helen goes a step further and officially declares herself a suffragist.
Wow.
She becomes this huge advocate for international workers' rights.
Fuck yeah.
Her book in 1913, Out of the Dark, is this really interesting transition. And here's the thing. When it comes to subjects like this, and 3 years in, now we've done lots of stuff like this, I don't usually spend a lot of time reading the subject's original works because I think I lack social context.
And it's also like hard to take all of that information from the person who did it.
Right.
And then it's like, but you're not understanding what led them there, or like, what's going on.
And so much of our work, I feel like on the podcast is like re-envisioning or reimagining who this person is, not necessarily like, here's
retelling.
Here's my PowerPoint presentation on what you need to know about Helen Keller's 6th book. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. So I'm like, you know, like
not
interesting
like our
for sure,
intro
for
where
some.
he did that about the 7th season of
And you're welcome.
that one fucking show.
And also, for the record, that kind of work is stuff I am doing in grad school. Like, that's 100% a book report. Here's what you need to know about Helen Keller's 6th book. That, you know, like, that is like an absolute assignment.
You're going to say that's what I do in grad school about reality TV.
No. And that academic work is good and like has a space. It's just not this space. And so I so rarely reference the original text. But this book I am going to reference because it so clearly marks a transition kind of between. Half of this book is dedicated to like, my life as a blind person. What blinded me? Like measures you can take to help eliminate blindness in children. Like for instance, if a child had an eye infection, a radical thing Helen Keller suggested you do was wash the baby's eyes.
I would have never known.
And it legitimately helped decrease the case of childhood blindness in America.
I have nothing to say to that.
And here's the thing. She even went a step further. Before you wash the baby's eyes, you should wash your hands.
Own hands. Yep.
Right?
Typhoid Mary ran so that the rest of us could walk, apparently.
There's also this great quote I saw like early on when I was getting my degree in history education. And it's like, listen, I'm not trying to take anything away from Aristotle, but I think I'd be famous too if apparently no one had ever thought of anything ever before I showed up. Oh, the 4 elements are earth, wind, fire, and water.
Fire. Yeah,
like,
what?
I bet they are. Like, I could have come up with that in an evening, you know? So, like, not taking anything away, and her work changed lives.
It's just like so many of these things are so fundamental to us now.
Right.
And that's how important it was that they did this.
I guess like what I could say is Helen Keller, with no medical training at all whatsoever, could prescribe actual life-changing medical advice to people who then listened to it and took it, and it changed lives.
What's that like?
You know what? Like, it's like kind of that world too. So
throw RFK in there, see what happens.
And so that's half of this book.
Okay.
And also what's really cool is in this book, Out of the Dark, let me make sure I'm saying it correctly. Let me find it real quick. Yeah. Her 1913 book, Out of the Dark, Half of the book is that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she even adds a note in the preface that several states have already adopted these measures, and that's great. And some of this information now being a little old and outdated, like 5, 6, 7 years old, this is still really true for a lot of other states, and that's
also,
why it stays.
Very new. Like a lot of families don't have a ton of kids in the span of 5 to 10 years.
Correct. But then there's the other half of the book, which is like kind of ironically the first half of the book. This is clearly like the new stuff that was on her mind.
Okay.
Here are some of the chapters written in 1913. Remember, she joins the Socialist Party in 1909. Here are some of the chapters. Chapter 2, How I Became a Socialist.
Incredible.
Chapter 3, The Worker's Right.
Yep.
Chapter 4, The Modern Woman, right?
Incredible.
One chapter, and I read like cover to cover this chapter, which is crazy, and also why research took so long today. This chapter was like chapter 7 or 8, and it was titled An Apology for Going to College. And I was like,
now wait a minute.
What? So I skipped to this chapter.
Yeah.
I managed to find this entire book for free online, by the way.
Some of them exist free, and it's just like, this seems illegal.
Shout out to Internet Archive. Billionaires listening to us, donate to them. I don't have that money, and also they never have the grad school books that I need.
And that's where I found the Sex Raft book, too.
I'm like, this is the hardest format to use because I have to just be on a desktop computer. Yeah. But here I am. Okay.
It's easy to search, though. That's nice.
So from her chapter titled An Apology for Going to College, I jumped to it immediately because I'm like, this is not the woman that I have something to understand in my research so far.
What do you mean?
It's so incredibly sarcastic. It's so dry and sarcastic that 115 years later, I understand it's sarcastic before the end of the first sentence. Like, I understand everything, but here's the thing. It's the best part. That. She begins the chapter by quoting a man. She was like, a gentleman once said to me, quote, I do not approve of college women because they lose all respect for men.
I wonder why.
And then Keller writes, and I'm paraphrasing this part, this quote has had the opposite effect on me, as I deduced that if a woman's respect can be lost or taken away so easily, it must be the man's fault, and that it is my job to help right the man in that situation.
Oh, to put Matilda Gage, like the inspiration.
One more sentence.
Oh my God.
This is now a direct quote.
Okay.
She was like, it's my job as a woman to right that situation. And then the actual quote from the end of that first paragraph. Fortunately, women are born with a missionary spirit. So she's like, and I'm happy to do that work, you son of bitches. Sorry, go ahead. I wanted you to have that space now.
Matilda Gage, the woman who inspired F. Frank Baum or whatever, the guy who wrote The Wizard of Oz, and then potentially inspired the good witch, Glinda the Good.
Right.
Her whole shtick was like, men suck, women are better. Here is literally all of the evidence about like how matriarchal society should. She went beyond saying fuck the patriarchy. She said, I want the exact opposite, and here's why. That's what this bitch wanted. Not wanted, but like, was like, fuck this.
And here's what I'm saying too. Like, what do you mean Helen Keller, who I just know is like the inspiration from The Miracle Worker, like 10 years later is this like sassy, sarcastic, I don't respect men and they deserve it and they should get on the same page. Like, that's such a full person.
Sorry, Helen Keller, for all of the slander you've been getting.
The idea of Helen Keller being a sassy bitch living in a farm just north of New York City is much more interesting.
Incredible.
I should not say is a much more interesting story, but is a story that does not present her as this like tragedy inspiration porn, which is what she's been called sometimes as like inspiration porn. Oh yeah, Helen Keller has like kind of a mixed reputation in the disability community as this like, but she just kind of ends up becoming this like perfect, flawless model of like
it's also probably hard with how much privilege she had growing up.
Yeah, absolutely it was.
Yeah.
But then like a story like that in her 6th book, dedicated to her mother, by the way, that she's like, yeah, and like, you men who I don't respect you, well, good news is I shouldn't be respecting you, and I'm happy to help correct all of that.
And I stand 10 toes down on that.
She ends that chapter labeled An Apology for Going to College with this little tidbit, which I think is wonderful and is as important now when they were trying to get more of everybody to college, but especially women, as it is today with like artificial intelligence and things like that. The chapter ends with this quote. The ideal of college is not to give miscellaneous instruction, but but to disclose to the student his highest capacities and teach him how to turn them into achievement. Which feels, again, kind of like high school classroom teacher poster stuff.
Yeah.
But when you think about the way that knowledge and learning transformed this woman's world from not being able to communicate what she wants for dinner to like published author. When you think of it from that lens as the person being like, it is here to tell you what you are capable of doing and then giving you the tools to turn that capacity into results. That's inspiring.
Will you read it again?
That's breathtaking. The ideal of college is not to give miscellaneous instruction, but to disclose to the student his highest capacities and teach him how to turn them into achievement.
Yeah, that's
Super cool.
Yeah.
And then with all this kind of cool stuff happening, her life gets super complicated in a way that's like kind of messy
And how old is she
and
now?
interesting. In 1914, which is the year that we're about to get into, she is 34.
Okay.
So she's a year older than I am now, and her life's about to get really messy in a really interesting way. And it starts off with a series of strange events. First, her longtime companion, Anne Sullivan, gets sick. Then Anne Sullivan's wife, John Macy, husband, leaves her. They don't get divorced, but they separate basically permanently forever. Then Anne and Helen hit the road to do a lecture series.
Okay.
And at that time, a third woman joins the group. Her name is Polly Thompson. She's an immigrant from Scotland. Polly has helped both to help out with Helen and also to help take care of Anne, who's now at a diminished capacity.
Right.
She gives a big lecture series across the country on happiness, which helps bring in a lot of money. In fact, actually, 100 years after this lecture tour, a lot of these now smaller newspapers did like 100 years ago, Helen Keller spoke to us because she like spoke in Reno, Nevada. She spoke in this place in Wisconsin. And they were clearly at the time like new towns kind of filled with like immigrants and things like that, like fresh towns. It was a very big deal for Helen Keller to get in. And if these towns still had a newspaper, they were like 100 years ago, the speaker Helen Keller came and visited us.
So cool.
It was just cool that 100 years later, it still meant so much to them.
Something, yeah.
And yeah, it's on optimism, finding inner peace, and an intellectual resilience. So I wasn't doing a great job, but like I got the big chunks in my description earlier. Keller no doubt used her notoriety and already extensive list of life accomplishments to help gather large crowds. But unlike so many celebrities, both then and now, she used her lecture series money to help funnel it towards causes that she was a huge advocate for. In that same year, in 1915, Helen Keller helped establish the organization Helen Keller International alongside George Kessler to help advocate for the conditions of the blind in like other countries, as well as improved medical treatment to help reduce the number of blindness cases that affected young people.
That's awesome.
A few years earlier, she had already joined the International Workers of the World, which is like a precursor to some communist organizations.
Love it.
And around this time, she starts writing for them as well.
I love that she could have been like on McCarthy's Red Scares list.
Yeah, she ends up on several lists in the 20th century.
Incredible.
In 1919, Helen Keller writes this, quote, "The few own the many because they possess the means of livelihood of all. The country is governed for the richest, for the corporations, the exploiters of labor, the bankers, the land speculators. The majority of mankind are working people. So long as their demands, the ownership and control of their own livelihoods, are set at naught, we can have neither men's rights nor women's rights. The majority of mankind is ground down by industrial oppression in order that the small remnant may live in ease." Which is exactly what we're doing right now. And also would make Helen Keller like a DSA member, a Democratic Socialist of America member today.
Yeah.
Like Helen Keller was all these wonderful things, but much in the same way a lot of really radical people from our history are remembered today. We've taken away all the things that could offend the people in power, that could offend the moneyed interest, that could offend anybody who wasn't like affluent, Christian, white, male, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like if you weren't in this established established class of power that's existed in this country forever, then you have
You're not.
correct. Your
gonna make
actual
it.
messages have been scrubbed away from history. MLK, for instance, was like famously controversial and talked
Yeah.
about like a universal basic income and things like that. And they were like, nope, scrub, scrub, scrub. I have a dream. And that's all he really ever said.
Yes.
He just wants everyone to get along. And like, that's what
Who
you
was
should
it?
know.
Someone, I don't remember who it was. It was either John Oliver or Seth Meyers. Maybe Jon Stewart, but some fucking Republican quoted MLK the other day on like an interview with like CNN or something, and they came back and like, yeah, MLK famously said, "God damn, I wish these people would know more than one quote that I said."
Yeah. No, but for
Yes,
reals.
yeah, because there's just so much more nuance than just
Right. And Helen makes those kind of claims all the time,
Yeah.
which is why it's especially frustrating. Some people are like, well, you know, John Macy, Anne Sullivan's husband,
Oh, God.
he's the reason why Helen Keller became a socialist. He's the reason why, like, Helen Keller became blah, blah, blah.
Okay,
And then, like, the historical record today is like, okay, so actually, like, not true. In fact, we actually have a growing body of evidence that suggests Helen Keller might have made John Macy a socialist. John Macy is not mentioned at all in her writings in 1913 or elsewhere. He's not mentioned in her essay from 1912, How I Became a Socialist.
I'm sorry, a socialist man isn't leaving his wife when she gets sick. I don't know if that's 100% true, but those are the vibes that I get.
God, I hope so. You know,
Yeah.
God, I hope so.
Every man that I know, and it's few, but it's not zero, that left their wife when they got sick, either didn't vote or voted for someone who I don't like.
Yeah, agreed.
So.
And so she was this lifelong
Yeah.
socialist, and she talks about in her writings in 1912 in her article How I Became a Socialist that what largely transformed her opinion as this like precious little white girl from
Yeah.
a very affluent family in the antebellum South to like a socialist and a member of the international workers of the world.
I think that's the gay agenda.
Probably.
Yeah.
But she was like, I read a lot. I read people's personal stories and narratives.
So it's
and
the
that's-
universities that are turning them all gay and socialist.
I want you to remember this in 31 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like actually, I know it's like a running bit for us right now, but also like for
I
those
actually
we are
really
circling
love
back to
that
that.
bit.
Good. Okay. Because you are
It's-
cueing into
It's
it.
so relevant too, because sometimes you'll say things and I'm like, I don't know what to say right now, but you're there.
Part of me is like, is this story predictable, or have I done a good job of layering the story?
We've
enough
also
that the
just been
themes are
doing this
stacking
for
up? Yeah.
several years.
We know what we're.
Yeah.
Well, I know what you are eventually going to tell me, and vice versa.
We
But
know their stories.
the big thing that I'm trying to like build this up to is, sure, Helen Keller became a socialist because she was like a learned woman who read a lot of stories, who understood things, who contemplated deeply the economics and like the wealth privilege that she came from, all that stuff. Perhaps nothing was more radicalizing to Helen Keller than the very clear link that she could draw between poverty and becoming disabled.
Yeah.
And she was like, so many people, because she was a disabilities rights activist her entire life. And so she spoke with
A
many
lot of
people.
disabled people.
Yes, but people who were not born with their disability, but an event happened to them
Right.
and they developed it.
In work.
Right.
Or,
You
yeah.
can't be talking to like an 8-year-old who is now partially disabled because of an event that's happened like at a factory.
Yep.
And continue to look at the system of capitalism, of consumption, and the exploitation of labor as like a good, right, and natural thing. And it's something that you shouldn't be looking at either. Just because your shit is no longer made by a child in like a New York sweatshop and instead elsewhere, it should not make you feel good about this capitalistic system
Yeah.
that is poisoning all of Earth's waters. Like just because your stream is whatever. Like it's not whatever,
There's
but that's
just
not the story.
there's just so much there that we could get into.
But I think what's so interesting, and for me, it was this moment of like to like. It's like I've oftentimes felt like my queer identity made me more empathetic because like I've at times understood what it means like to be on the outside or to feel like a social level of rejection, and also to like have to engage in a practice of like self-reflection and like where do I fit in society's norms. That for Helen Keller, she was like, I have spent far too much time with people who are now disabled because of capitalism's greed and consumption for me not to be a socialist.
And
Why?
then for the system to not take care of them and actively punish them
Correct.
for the end result of them engaging in
Right.
capitalism.
Helen Keller wasn't like a back to the land agrarian.
No.
You know, but she was like, this system should then take care of us. And the wealth that your body helped create
Like,
is entitled to you.
This is not a causation is not causality, or
Right.
like a, what's the fucking phrase?
Correlation is
Correlation
not
is not causation
Yeah.
situation. This is like something that she clearly saw.
Do we have the cord to play audio?
Yes, I need to stop the recording really quick.
Okay.
But yes.
Before we stop the recording, I'm going to play you now because as she was going around and giving these speeches, she like wrote a lot, but she did also do a lot of speaking. So what you're going to see in this is Helen Keller speaking at first, and then right next to her is going to be Polly Thompson, because this video is taken later in Helen's life, who's going to be there to help translate some of the stuff.
Okay.
And I'm also mentioning this too because, you know, Helen Keller is going around and delivering these speeches. And so, you know, she's speaking to packed halls and, you know,
To a lot
people
of
are
people.
listening very carefully. This is what they're hearing. But it's also, I think, such a powerfully moving message, especially when you think of how little media these people would have consumed like in their entire lives,
Right.
you know, to get a chance to listen to Helen Keller speak. Because when you listen to this, you can tell the amount of effort it has taken Helen to develop the skill.
Right.
So go ahead and play it.
Speak clearly. This isn't strange, for since she was a baby, she has not heard a word spoken, nor seen lips forming one. But let Helen, with Polly's help, tell you.
It is not blindness or deafness that brings me my darkest hours.
It is not blindness or deafness that bring me my darkest hours.
It is the acute disappointment in not being able to speak normally.
It is the acute disappointment in not being able to speak normally.
Longingly, I think how much more good I might have done if I had only acquired natural speech.
Longingly I feel how much more good I could have done if I had acquired normal speech.
But
And so, like, that's my second time listening to that clip, second or third time. Like, you can definitely tell
It's easier
the
to
words that she's
understand
saying.
the longer you listen to it.
Correct. You can kind of fit into the rhythm
Yeah.
of it a little bit more. And I just think if like you're like a person with a disability in the crowd listening to Helen speak and
It's
understanding
really
what
cool.
she's managed to accomplish.
Yeah.
And then also for that voice to be speaking some truly radical things about like your right to dignity, your right to be taken care of for the labor that you've done,
Mm-hmm.
for your own innate potential and capacity. Like that is a deeply moving message. But it is also a political one.
Right.
And it should be understood as a political
Right.
one. Because this was a woman that had a political agenda, but this was also a woman who loved. And that is the name of chapter 4, a woman who loves.
Ooh.
Hell yeah, Helen.
Who loves who?
Get your tits out.
Well,
In June of 1916, when she was 36 years old, Helen Keller chose love one more time.
embracing.
Keller met and fell in love
Fall in love?
with a journalist named Peter Fagan,
A journalist.
who was assigned to her to be her secretarial assistant and fell in love as he would sign into her hands. Peter Fagan was also maybe John Macy's former assistant. John Macy and Anne Sullivan never divorced; they just separated. So it's kind of unknown the degree to which they stayed in each other's lives. Or at least unknown
I just don't
to
like
me.
him. That's
I
all
don't
that
either,
matters.
but
Yeah.
it's unknown to
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
But she fell in love with Peter Fagan. He was a fellow socialist.
Fuck
he
yeah.
learned figure spelling to be able to communicate with Helen. Peter and Helen.
Grant's gonna cry.
Oh, I'm trying to get this
He's like
right.
so in love.
Peter and Helen made plans to get married and had planned on eloping before Helen's family
Oh my God.
caught wind of the situation. Helen's family, along with Anne Sullivan, basically go to Helen and they're like, we're putting you on a train back to Alabama. We are sending you back to your family.
Why?
And Peter, you will leave her alone.
Why?
Keller's, this now comes from a historian.
Was he a dickweed?
Anne Sullivan and Keller's family disapproved of the idea of marriage for Helen Keller.
What?
This now comes from a historian. Helen's extended family vigorously squashed the relationship with a forced midnight train trip out of town and an angry, gun-waving brother and a drama worthy of a bad novel writes historian Kim E. Nielsen in Helen Keller Selected Writings.
Ew.
Helen Keller was sent back to Alabama to be with her mother, and Peter was told not to follow her.
What the fuck?
At this point in her life, Keller is 36 years old.
Yeah, she's a fully formed adult.
A world-renowned author.
And speaker.
Correct. She'd received a degree from Radcliffe in 1904. She'd become the first deaf-blind woman to graduate college. She'd given lectures across the country and written several books. Yet Sullivan and Keller's relatives, quote, felt adamantly that marriage and childbearing were not options for a deaf-blind woman.
What the fuck?
At the time, this attitude was common. In
Yeah, of
some
course it was.
states and cities in the U.S., there were things called, and I'm sorry, this is the term, quote, ugly laws,
Yikes.
which prohibited people who looked different from being allowed in public.
Because her deafness and blindness was not genetic.
No.
Right? It was an illness. Great. So the same people who, I'm not saying caused that illness, but certainly didn't fucking solve it,
Right.
are now telling her, oh, because you are dealing with the repercussions of this illness, you can't live your life to its fullest.
In many states, disabled
What?
women weren't even allowed to marry or have children
Bro.
legally. Helen Keller eventually, quote, apparently acquiesced to her family's and Anne Sullivan's disapproval of marrying Fagin.
Helen?
As far as we know, Helen Keller did not interact with Fagin again after their marriage was nixed.
Oh my
Quote,
God.
As Helen Keller wrote in her own memoir, Midstream, which she wrote in the middle of her life. And I think Midstream for a middle of life memoir is incredible.
Is actually a phenomenal name.
But as Helen Keller wrote, I corresponded with the young man for several months, but my love dream was shattered.
Oh my God.
Helen Keller's message was inherently political, but she was also a self-actualized woman who like wanted marriage, who like wanted sex. Like she
Yes.
wanted a romantic relationship. She was very lucky to be in a position where she had very strong companions for her
Yes.
entire life. But that's not the same thing as having the romantic relationship.
Yeah.
If that's what she wanted, and that is what she wanted, and they did not allow her to do it.
So fucked up.
That was in 1916. The next chapter is labeled Older and Wiser. Despite the dream of a more fulfilling personal life being crushed by the people she often relied on, because that was the thing too, to a certain degree, like when your personal companion and your family who make up your eyes and help you navigate parts of the physical world that you need help with, when they tell you we will not allow you to do this, like that's an unfair negotiating tool
Because
that they have
you
in that
have
situation.
it's like a parent negotiating with a child.
Yeah.
The child can't realistically
Right.
say anything against that or go against that
They
because they're
put
financially
her
dependent.
in a rhetorical
Yes.
situation where she actually did not have necessarily
The ability to
like
say,
a
yeah,
response.
yeah.
And it goes down to what her family, who had supported her and seen her achieve so much, assumed out of hand Helen would not be able to handle
Were they
and made that decision for her.
Were they supportive and like present for most of her adult life after she left Alabama?
I would definitely say supportive of her career.
Okay.
Yeah, more or less.
Like they showed up to her speeches and
Yeah,
things like
they
that.
certainly weren't
Okay.
like ashamed of her. They
Yeah,
weren't like
yeah.
never come back. No, there was definitely like support and stuff. Like
Okay.
you know, they followed her and her two
Like
companions.
she maintained a healthy relationship with
Yeah,
them
Polly
until this.
Thompson and Anne Sullivan, who were her two companions and like helpers, traveled with her everywhere. Right, like they
Yeah.
held a very deep friendship. She wrote very lovely things about both of them. So I don't think this like shattered their relationship, but I don't know how. But also like I'm not in that
Was
world.
Polly also on that boat of like
Polly was very new to the scene at the time, so I
Right,
doubt
okay. Yeah,
because
'cause
Polly
she
would have came
didn't
in
enter, yeah,
1914.
yeah.
So this is only 2 years into Polly's tenure. I doubt she really got a vote, but Anne and her family did. Despite that, Helen Keller continued to live boldly in the public eye. So 1916 is the year the whole romance thing like shatters.
Right.
1916 is also the time Helen Keller sends a $100 donation worth nearly $3,000 today to a brand new and controversial civil rights organization known as the NAACP. Helen Keller
That's awesome.
uses her funds to help fund
and start up.
the NAACP,
Yeah,
which was
that's
like
crazy.
the organization that like so much civil rights legislation was like enacted through and like housed so many great
You
people.
want to know something embarrassing?
Always.
The NAACP and any sports organization I never know the difference. Unless we're talking like specific, like if it's just brought up randomly in conversation, I'm not paying attention. Could go either way.
So this is okay. So there's a different joke, also kind of from the world of history, and it's like you will see the most uneducated person be like NAACP. Well, where's the WAACP? And they go, boy, what do you think the N stands for in the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People? It's like that slander of like, if there's a gay pride, why isn't there a straight pride? Do you think there's a government office planning parades?
Yeah.
Like, you could. Like, if you just do what we do, if you formed a committee and planned a parade, then there'd be a parade. That's what literally everyone else is doing.
The Proud Boys have a parade. The KKK can have a parade.
Yes.
They kind of just gather and walk down a street. Like, if you wanted a fucking straight parade, fully within your goddamn rights.
I can't imagine the amount of denim that would be at those kind of things. But yeah, if you want it,
I don't know, though.
You could get off your job and drive your like 2011 Nissan Altima to like a church basement or like a community center where you could sit in a U shape of folding tables and plan something out on a shared Google Drive. Like
I'm sure that would go really well for all you straight men.
That is within the realm of things you're allowed to do. I'm not going to speak to your ability to, but allowed to.
Well, I'll speak to their ability as someone who's watched straight men plan things.
So Helen Keller in 1916 sends what is at the time a sizable donation to the NAACP.
Hell yeah.
More importantly, Helen Keller, world-renowned author and writer Helen Keller, also sends a letter decrying racism as unchristian. She is like, whites who are racist are not Christ-like. And the NAACP is like, we're going to publish this if that's okay. And Helen's like, yeah, so I sent the letter for it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Helen seems like a bitch who does not question what she said.
Helen's like,
if she wrote it down, bitch, she meant it.
I wrote it for publication, so thanks for that.
It took me more effort than it takes you to write things, so you can bet your ass I meant it.
She's like, if you don't publish the letter, I will publish it in my monthly newsletter in the International Workers of the World column or any of the other things I'm writing in. She actually is like writing all the time. Whenever I'm like, damn, between like podcast, speech and debate stuff and grad school, I'd be writing all the time. And then this episode on Helen Keller, and I'm like, I got it so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy. I gotta shut my mouth for a second.
Sometimes, but especially also, in this particular time frame, like right before the Great Depression, everyone be writing and publishing.
Everyone's writing everything.
Like, why did Houdini and
have their own newspapers?
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle both write multiple books just shitting on each other? What do you mean?
I do love that because also, not to bring in like grad school for the 100th time, but one of the books I'm reading. Good. Okay. I am reading a book right now about like the prevalence suddenly very quickly of like cheap publication. And
one of our friends knows about that. Sorry.
Fair. And just like literature is important, but also different at the time. Like there were no gatekeepers, so everyone would be publishing everything. And then there was that golden era that people my age and older just barely remember, where there was like editors, and so you could trust what you were reading was at least vetted. And then that disappeared completely, and now we're all just yelling at each other on the internet. But anyways, Helen Keller publishes her.
Thanks, Mark Zuckerberg.
Helen Keller publishes that letter, or the NAACP publishes it in their newsletter titled "The Crisis."
Incredible.
That letter is then picked up by the white newspaper in Selma, Alabama, close to her hometown, and they publish it too. And they use it as an example of how Helen Keller has now been poisoned by her northern teachers.
Burn, Alabama.
Now, here's... Sherman didn't do enough, but historically, I'd stand by that.
I've been saying that. Just kidding. If you live in Alabama, I'm sure
there's plenty of
lovely.
good people there, and also I have thoughts on the way that we needed to fundamentally rip at the roots, the power structure there. But that's not what this podcast is about. It's what my paper 2 weeks ago was about.
It's also kind of what this podcast is about.
Oh yeah, it is, brother. When the newspaper in Selma, Alabama, publishes it, anyone who spoke about white Southerners in that way could have been lynched, could have been tied up to a tree, hung, and set on fire. That is the practice of lynching. And while it was usually reserved to strike fear into the hearts of black people, there was a very small number of white people who experienced violence up to and including lynching as a way of making sure that there was no white voices in support of them.
Yes.
Now here's the really interesting thing. This ableism that has obscured Helen's message also allowed her to like say things that other people weren't allowed to say.
Yeah.
Because she was a deaf blind woman. They weren't about to go launch this angry assault against her.
And that's, I mean, you can say what you want about privilege, but that's a nice...
There's a way of using it, of wielding it,
that's
you
the
know?
whole fucking point of privilege, is to be able to use it.
She also, for example, spoke out real heavy against World War I. Hated Woodrow Wilson, who
Love that
was
for her.
both pro-war and anti-equality. And so that's not a huge shock there. He delayed the suffrage movement. She voted for Eugene Debs. She did think he was the socialist that ran for president. Yeah. She did things during World War I that landed so many other people in jail for the duration of that war that did not jail Helen Keller. Which again, like the thing about Helen is that she's living this very political life. She is not this like little wallflower.
No, she's doing the shit.
But also there's this weird public relation where there's like a lot of respect towards her.
If you do anything negative to her, she becomes a martyr.
A little bit, yes.
And then what happens to you?
And that is a really powerful leverage position to be.
True.
And so that happens. She writes a couple more.
That's incredible.
And then 1919 rolls around and she stars in a movie about herself.
Yep.
It's called Deliverance. It's a 90-minute silent film, and her and Anne Sullivan play the older versions of themselves.
I love that.
And then as soon as filming is done on Deliverance, they become a vaudeville act.
So you're telling me there's a world.
100%.
I don't know if it's true before you come at me on fucking YouTube, all right? There's a world wherein Houdini and Helen Keller perform on the same stage. Again, I have no idea if that's true.
Same circus and everything.
But we're going to live in that reality.
Her and Anne were billed as the eighth wonder of the world. So 100%. It paid almost $2,000 a week, according to one source.
In that time?
Yeah, it made so much money.
It made $2,000 a week. That is like...
That's a living salary today.
Yeah, I was like, that's how much, like around how much I make per 2 weeks.
It's always interesting to understand how much money she has in this time in her life, because that number is not always defined, but yeah, it's incredible. I could be getting that translation wrong. I could absolutely be getting that translation wrong, and it's more like $80 a week. That translates to $2,000 a week now. But the thing the thing I'm trying to pass
that's a lot of money.
Is it pays so much better than lecturing, and they are doing a lecture.
Wait, they do a lecture out of VOD?
You pay your money, you go in, and you watch Helen Keller deliver a prepared speech for 20 minutes alongside Anne Sullivan. And then, and this is, I guess, what you're really paying for, you then get the chance to have a question and answer period with Helen Keller. Which does kind of feel like worth the money, considering what her legacy was at
vaudeville,
the time.
I guess, doesn't need to be satirical and funny or fun, I guess.
Because they took, as with everything,
educational.
They took this seriously.
Yeah, of
and
course they
prepared
did.
it out, and then it lived on in like her papers and stuff. So it's been resurrected. They have found sheets of questions that they, in their free time, guessed she might be asked.
And then prepared her answers.
Correct.
Yeah.
So she could come up with the funniest, wittiest answer to like get their money's worth.
She was like a comedian.
Yes.
Educationer.
Correct. Educationer. She's a comedian educationer, which is what I want my tombstone to say. Here lies comedian educationer Grant. Beloved by some, feared by many.
Feared by a lot.
Don't get near him. The cheese is still leaving his body. That's what they call me at a Chinese buffet. Okay. Here, I have only 2 questions pulled because the document they found did not have all of her answers.
Right.
But here are 2 that did. Question 1. When my country wants me to fight and I want to live in peace, what shall I do? Helen's answer: compromise by going to jail. Question 2. What is your definition of a reformer? Yeah. Helen Keller's answer: One who tries to abolish everything his neighbor enjoys.
Well, I mean, tell me how she's wrong, you know?
Also really fun, as she's starting to make bank in 1920 on the Vaudeville Act, she takes that money and becomes a founding member of the American Civil Liberties Union. Helen Keller helps found the ACLU.
Yeah.
She's an early investor into the NAACP.
Wow.
She is a socialist, at times becomes communist, suffragist, supporter of birth control, pacifist who talked mad shit about Southern racists and Woodrow Wilson. She's an inspiration.
And not a fraud.
Famously a pretty good gal.
Note to myself and my cousin Aaron, who I'm going to be seeing next week.
Send him the unpublished copy of this episode. Let him know.
I might. I don't think she's a podcast person, but we'll see.
Okay, we are getting the good news for you and Aaron and everyone involved is we are now getting to the last couple paragraphs.
Thank God.
Okay.
I'm thrilled about all of this. There is a piece of me that is deeply ashamed.
I think when you first told me this, and I went, "Oh no." Oh no,
I have to show you the messages between me and Aaron when she sent me that.
Please update her also with what tonight's episode's been.
I'm gonna, yeah.
Okay. All right, listeners, our last couple of paragraphs. But Helen Keller never abandoned her advocacy work. She was a pacifist, bitterly opposed to war and fascism. She donated money to the Spanish Republican fighters during the Spanish Civil War. That was a fight against fascism that they would ultimately lose, but she supported them. She was anti-war, including anti the U.S. joining World War II until Germany invaded communist Russia. And then she was like, we have to defend communism. She's a homie. She's not just like a...
I mean, like, she's right, but also, like, that's not communism, babe.
She learned to read, close book. No, open it up. Oh. She's a communist.
Who are you, fucking McCarthy? Calm down.
She would meet every single president from Grover Cleveland, who was president in 1893, to Lyndon B. Johnson, who was president in 1964. She was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1964.
Which president was that?
But Lyndon B. Johnson.
LBJ.
Yeah. She began publishing books again in 1927, starting with her book, quote, My Religion, where she shared how she had come into Christianity. That was not necessarily something that she had grown up with.
Really?
And that, yeah. Well,
wow.
I mean, I think, you know, once she
When I think South and white, I do think religious.
Yeah, but I think also, like, a part of it is as soon as she learned how to read and write, there was, like, science and math.
She's not reading the Bible yet.
No, and I mean, up to Perkins School and, like, Northeastern religion is, I mean, I didn't read my religion like I read Out of Darkness, but, you know, it's kind of crazy that today I just read a book by Helen Keller. Like, that's a thing that I did today.
That's how I felt when I read Francois Clement's book. I was like, today I learned about...
Yeah.
Francois Clemens.
But she writes about how in coming to Christianity later as an adult, it fuses with her politics, and she believes capitalism is an evil, bad sin. And I think that's super cool.
And I think that's really cool of her.
It gives her, I think, technically the political title of being a Christian Democrat. Or a Christian socialist. There's like an official kind of political name for that very specific worldview of like religiously socialist.
I would like to meet one personally.
Yeah, I think they're mainly in Europe.
Yeah.
In 1946, she almost immediately began visiting the newly disabled as a result of World War II. She met with U.S. Army veterans who'd been disabled because of the war, and then traveled to Europe and met specifically with like orphans and disabled children in Rome and other cities who, now that the war were over, were learning how to live a new life. She would become famous for her advocacy on an international stage, both for people with disabilities, but specifically for people who were visually impaired. She traveled all over the world. She visited Japan several times, mostly in the 1930s, and brought back several Akitas with her, like the dog.
Love that. Wait, sorry, I do need more information on that.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
Did she own multiple Akitas at once?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say they're famously independent dogs. Okay, but she went to Japan and would bring back Akitas.
She went to Japan, heard the story of an Akita that searched for its dead owner for 10 years, fell in love with a dog that was
might have
loyal
been
like
Hachiko.
that. I think it is.
The one that I told you about.
Yeah, it wasn't like the core part of the story, and it was in this final section. I'm like, that's kind of a crazy thing to like loop in right now, but now I'm telling you because it popped into my head.
I kind of want an Akita still.
Gifted one, and then I think she always had one, and she named them Go-Go.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, really cute.
Go technically. Hachiko is named Hachi because Hachi is 8 in Japanese. Go is technically 5, so I wonder if there was anything.
Interesting. Yeah.
There.
Oh, yeah. So as she traveled the world, she was always kind of aware of the role of like racism, discrimination, and equality. For instance, in 1951, she visits South Africa. And South Africa was at that point in 1951, 3 years into apartheid.
Which wouldn't end until
you're going to yell
like
at me. I think
living
90s.
memory, right?
Yeah, I think early 90s, maybe 80s.
Okay.
But like a long time.
Yeah.
And she is there, and she's like, she actually wrote at one point, she goes, "It pains me. I found out tonight that one of the places we went to, they had the white children introduce themselves to me first before anybody else was allowed to introduce themselves."
So infuriating because she doesn't know that.
Correct.
When it's happening.
And also, like, you're a guest and things like that, and she's a woman.
Yeah.
She did, however, spend several days with the Zulu nation, where she was given the Zulu name that essentially translates to a person that brings a great awakening or great awareness, because she spoke out against the discrimination. She, in one speech, praised the individuals that had begun a hunger strike against apartheid, named that specifically. That was a controversial thing to do. And met with members of Mahatma Gandhi's family who were living in South Africa. And that's a complicated thing elsewhere. She was like, "I was nervous about coming to South Africa and advocating for the blind, but I read your son's writings and I found strength in that. And that is what brought me here." It's like my continued like quest for like equality for people with blindness, but also with people with disabilities, for people of different racial identities.
Yeah.
In 1961, she would begin a series of strokes that would limit her ability to be in public.
Yeah.
She would officially pass away in 1968. A funeral was held at Washington National Cathedral. She was cremated, and she was interned in the Washington National Cathedral's cemetery alongside Anne Sullivan and Polly Thompson. She was laid to rest alongside her 2 dear companions that were
must
with
have
her
been so hard for
entire
both
life.
of them to pass
before her. Yeah. Fortunately, Polly made it pretty late into Helen's life, but to have to adjust to that at the very end. But at that point, like she was
pretty self-sufficient.
Correct. Well, self-sufficient and also surrounded by people. Like,
True. Yeah.
I don't think she was lonely unless she wanted to be. Like, she, for instance, met one of the girls that would win an Academy Award for playing. So then this is the last paragraph. When she passed, Helen Keller had become the first woman who was deaf and blind to graduate from college with a college degree. She had starred in a movie, Deliverance, in 1909, had written dozens of books, had won an Academy Award herself for a documentary about her in 1955. The play about her life, The Miracle Worker, won a Pulitzer Prize in 1959. The play adaptation was then turned into a movie, which won several Academy Awards in 1960. She died with a huge FBI file.
Fuck yes!
FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah, hated her.
Did not like her.
He hates, honestly, for coming up with story ideas, I have considered just looking up who J. Edgar Hoover looked at, because I'm convinced he hated all the cool bitches.
Real listeners of the podcast know that if I mention J. Edgar Hoover did not like you, you have done it correctly.
Yeah, if you haven't been tracking that shit, I don't know if we're ever going to do an episode on J. Edgar Hoover, because it's just going to be piecemealed together through all the cool fucking lives of all the people he hated, like Frank Sinatra, Helen Keller,
all those leftist groups that he was, the anti-war groups. Elf hated the Earth Liberation Front.
Yeah, the anti-draft organizations.
Hit, Stay, Pray.
Oh my God, the Hedda Hopper and Luella Parsons. Well, Hedda Hopper actually really fucking liked him.
Also
but
hated
Luella Parsons.
MLK Jr. and things like that. There was so many different ways to end that, but I figured the best way could just be like when she died, she had a huge FBI file.
that actually. If you had told me that early on, I would have never doubted her. So really, Grant,
it's my
your
fault. Yeah, no, I understand completely. It was never an enchilada.
Thank you for recognizing that.
And so that is the incredible life and legacy of Helen Keller. I think something that, as Maya pulls up what she was going to say, I think what I love about this podcast, I say this all the time, but what I love about this podcast is that it enables me to get into stories in which I think I know the answer to. And the real gift of this podcast is I now have very much lived experience to know that I don't know the whole story.
Right.
And that even if I do know things that are accurate, I probably don't even know the most interesting parts of those stories. And it has made me cautious to accept just like a general narrative and has helped me develop an even greater appreciation of people who are willing to risk something for their values.
Yeah.
You were going to say something.
I was going to read some of the messages between me and Aaron.
Please do.
The real giveaway is that the original post she sent me no longer available. She sent me that and said, this has to be an episode on the pod. And I said, shut the fuck up. Oh my God. And then said, adding this to the list. Grant's next theme is literally liar, liar. This would be wild. And then she said, I want to come watch y'all, whatever. And we just had a conversation. Then, what is that? January 12th was when that happened. January 30th. So bad news. The Helen Keller thing was fake. I'm going to cover Cambridge Analytica instead, though.
The context to understand bad news, the Helen Keller slander was fake. The context that sentence requires is why we don't really read a lot of people's original work on this podcast.
Because you got no idea what just happened.
I feel even better about how this episode then turned out.
My face is red. This might be the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me.
Basically every paragraph of that story was another cool thing Helen Keller did that you didn't appreciate.
Literally,
that we didn't appreciate about her.
There was almost every episode we've done, especially historical ones from this time period, we can be like, and you can say what you want about that, but you also have to understand, like yes, that wouldn't be accepted now, but like this was the 60s, and that was crazy. Nothing that you said was even kind of close to that, of like, that might be seen as questionable. Nothing. Not a damn thing.
It's like actually several of the things she advocated for would still be considered radical today because of the way it centers caring for each other.
And
at
how
the center
we are as a society.
At the center of her worldview is, I think we should take care of each other. I was lucky to have resources. There was always people to take care of me. But I think like universal health care would end blindness in a lot of people. And you should be entitled to the wealth your body created. And also, racism's bad.
It's just nuts. Like the only thing, like, was she homophobic? That's the only question I have, and I don't think she was.
No, I mean
I wouldn't.
Hard to say, you know.
Yeah. I'm literally not asking you seriously.
Okay.
If it didn't come up, I feel like it would.
Well, here's the thing. Okay,
Yeah.
I've been tiptoeing around it. There was a second where she maybe dabbled a little bit in eugenics. She made a statement around quality of life for children born with severe disabilities that would be viewed as eugenics
today,
but was viewed at the time as cutting edge science. And it's not something she advocates for consistently throughout her work. In fact, it just seems to happen in a very specific kind of like year and a half timeline that I discovered. I'm an amateur historian. People love to get angry at us whenever we do a history video.
People love to say that they love us and then immediately tell us that they still love us, but we were wrong. And
because
then write
snakes aren't poisonous, they're venomous. Fuck off.
I mean, they're right, but like,
I hope you find a dodo, shove it up your ass, and then snap it off. Leave me the fuck alone.
I'm so glad that's at the end of the episode because I am leaving that. When I saw that comment, I was like, Grant's gonna be pissed.
I was just like, you literally know what I'm talking about.
No one has ever heard either of those phrases and been like, I don't know what you mean. Bitch, you know what we mean.
If you want to check the historical record that I used to provide that statement for that TikTok video, by the way, you can read the book SBQR by Mary Beard. If you're doing the audiobook, it's around hour 16 and a half of the 18-hour book. So feel free to listen to that, and then you let me know if I did not verbatim quote that motherfucking historian.
The beautiful part about running a history podcast that is well researched, I think, we're award winning, is that
Asian hosted.
Shut up. Not LGBTQ hosted though, apparently.
The one that would apply to both of us.
Leave me alone. That guy died. You gotta stop bringing it up.
We're just going to name this episode Maya's Cancer. What are you going to say?
No! The beautiful thing about running this show is that we then, I've been vocal, I don't post the reels anymore. I don't edit those things. Did you see they did all 3 reels that they posted from that episode were from the Patagonia thing?
They didn't even gain traction. There wasn't a lot of comments for me to respond to, I don't think.
There was a few comments. I responded to a lot of them because I loved it.
I know. Thank you for that, too.
It didn't get a ton of traction on TikTok or YouTube. But I was like, oh, so the listener stories weren't interesting? Like,
those are our Am I the Assholes? How is that not interesting?
There was one, the guy that I work with has been like, if there's anything you want us to delete, please just let us delete it so that we know for the future. And there was one reel that they posted like last week that was me talking about the girl who had died at my high school.
Oh,
and I was like, I'm not even waiting for you. I'm deleting this. It actually stayed up on YouTube and someone was like, I hate when this happens. And I was like...
So if you stay to the very end, because I feel like we have very much entered Patreon territory now.
We have. Yeah.
Find us on social media. Continue to support us by joining the Patreon. There we go. I'm trying to remember all the things to say. Join us the Patreon. There's a whole story I'm going to tell you today, which you should be excited about. So join the Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Remember what you probably did during the break, right?
What?
Exactly. Send a story in. The next 2 episodes, the next theme is Better Together and... Great. Better Together. So
you're learning.
So we have a Better
I
Together.
delivered my story 2 fucking days ago. Give a bitch a break. God damn.
Better Together. So if you have stories that are about being better together, submit it online on our website, wellilaughed.com, or you can send it to us in our email account, wellilaughdpod@gmail.com. Huge on the or.
Both, please.
And then finally, Cameo. If you want to wish, I can't believe I'm about to say this, and I'm so sorry.
Don't do it. Don't.
If you would like to wish a teacher friend of yours a very mean, happy back to school, by the time this publishes, it'll be late July. And so we can do cameos. I promise to be drunk
we'll
on
do
it.
cameos on anything.
But that could be a fun thing if we're looking for seasonality. Okay, let's move on over to Patreon. So I can.
Do you have a title?
No.
Okay, goodbye. Love you.